Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royal News Network, a Saturday morning live stream. I hope you guys are all having a super fantastic and amazing Saturday and week overall, because at least for Meghan Markle, I think it's been decisively mixed. So I need to do a whole video on this. So I was very tempted to label the video for today this, but I was like, no. I want to wait for an actual edited video. But Meghan Markle is getting to the point of overexposure. Now, I've always thought that was a bit of the case, but especially with now her podcast coming out so close to her TV show. And I think the overall general impression that Meghan doesn't have anything constructive to say is really hitting the world in a negative way, because I think people are just like, it's just too much. She's too annoying. She doesn't have anything to say. Like, people are sort of done with it. And that's definitely going to damage her in the long run, I think. I think actually delaying her show was not a great idea, because if her podcast had to come out at a certain time, she only has 8 episodes. So she could barely get, I would argue, a solid even season together. She should have at least 30 plus episodes for a season. Come on now, Meghan Markle. Podcast is not that hard. It is gonna struggle to, I think, kind of alleviate the massive stress that I think her brand is under. You know, the show performed badly. People found her annoying. Now we have another annoyance. And it's just like too much all at once. And then you had Harry recently. I don't know if it was at the same Up Summit or something he was supposed to be at, but there's more video released about it. And there was one in particular, and I don't know if I can find it and share it, but it was him talking about living, number one, what did he miss about the UK? And he said the countryside, not his family. But you could tell, like, he wasn't really looking at the guy, and he's kind of looking down, and it's like, I'm so happy here. Like, not smiling at all. Where's so many opportunities? It's like you almost feel like he's repeating something that he has been told time and time again that is like good about living here. And I think his misery is really starting to set in. I think he's pretty miserable. He doesn't have a relationship with his family. He's in a new country. And granted, some people really enjoy that. I think it's increasingly becoming difficult. He doesn't know his purpose. He's floundering. Obviously, people called Meghan's podcast Confessions of a Flounder. I prefer Confessions of a Grifter, female grifter. I think that's actually a better title for her show. But anyways, I think he is pretty gosh darn miserable. We did obviously have the royals out for the Commonwealth service, which was fantastic. Some other bits of royal news. So if you haven't caught up with the latest royal news, you can check out the live Crown Report, or you can go over and if you sign up for my Substack newsletter, it is free. You can see my latest there kind of breakdown of the royal news of the week. Although there are stories I have forgotten, so I've like put them on a list. And it's just like there's so much that goes on during the week. And then I forget something. And I'm like, darn. And then time goes past and I'm like, darn. So I'm going to have I think in addition to the newsletters, things I forgot to mention. So let's go ahead and begin. We do have a new member, Creative Chaosify, became a YouTube member. Why, thank you so much, Creative Chaosify. We also have Anna says, love the hair today, Miss Brittany. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. I really do. I love the Dry Bar Oval hairbrush dryer thing. I should link it. It's like one of my favorite things. I've started really using it, and I feel like it like 100% gives you that blowout effect. And it's like you can do a little bit of curve to the bottom, but not too much. Like if you do it with a straightener, it just doesn't look quite right. So I don't even really use my straightener anymore. I just use the hair dryer. I did also make official my plans to go to the UK and Denmark. So I will be going there next month for a tour of St. James's Palace and the East Wing of Buckingham Palace, which I missed last year. And then I'm heading over to Denmark for Princess Isabella's birthday celebration, a bit of one of those events. So super excited about that. Need to ask for press credentials for one, but very exciting. We do have Lizzie B says, hello, Ms. Brittany, Ms. Pippa, and chat. So hopefully Ms. Pippa decides to come up here because she did just get a haircut. So she looks very, very cute because she really, really needed a haircut. Although I feel like she looks a little bit naked now and she's like, where's all my hair? Because she has hair, actually, not fur, which is why I'm not allergic to her. Jamie Joel says, Harry and Meghan haven't met any benchmarks to have earned the potential of $100 million contract. If anything, Prince Harry, Meghan and Harry owe Netflix money. Otherwise, the flops wouldn't be aired. Yeah, so I mean, the Netflix always has two options with them, is either to air what they already have or to take the tax write-off. And it makes sense to air what they have and try to recoup whatever cost they paid them via her brand. But I think her brand is just a mess. She posted a picture on Instagram the other day for the brand, and I'm just looking at this like image going, you're so dull. This is so dull. And it's just like, come on now. Come on now. So actually, let me show you guys this because this is actually kind of funny. And she like posted a whatchamacallit. It was something from Audrey Hepburn, like a quote from Audrey Hepburn. I was like, sure, Megan. You're like, yeah, you're Audrey Hepburn over there. Nobody believes that except for the sycophantic fans. But anyways, I did want to just share it with you guys real quick. Is this not like such the most staged thing you've ever seen? And this picture was taken, guys, almost a year ago. It was taken 9 months ago. She's in the same outfit, everything as the pictures that were shared with People magazine, and those were taken in June of 2024. So this is not even for the As Ever brand. This picture was taken for American Riviera Orchard. Like, that's why she's in an orchard. I just realized that. It's so dumb. Like, brand name should mean something. So if you have to change your brand name, I'm sorry, but you probably should rethink some things that you're doing. You just should. And so that's like, one of my big bugaboos. I know. They're actually, I almost added it to a video and then I think kind of forgot, but there's like a whole meltdown in Veep. And I was like, I feel that sometimes. I was like, Tracy is here, says she is a massive mistake with her sneaky shows. Yeah, she's made a series of just massive, massive errors at this point. And I think that probably one of the biggest was actually delaying her show. She should have gone forward with it in January. Because again, the Trump administration and everything would have pulled so much attention from her. And unfortunately, because of all the negative attention for her show, it's now already bleeding over into her podcast. And people, because of the show, are even more exasperated by her podcast. And so that's just not a good move to make. Or like me, it's just like, okay, I've watched your show. That was a waste of time. I've listened to your previous podcast, and that was a massive waste of time. I don't even want to listen to it. Number one, because I don't think she has any intelligent questions to ask about business because she can't run a business. And so how can you ask intelligent questions about it and get to the heart of a matter if you can't really even drive your own business well? We also had this thing where she should, what would she do? I can't remember now. Anyways, she just can't run the business. Oh, and if she talked to these people, when did she talk to them? If she talked to them in the fall, why is her business such a wreck still? Now, granted, I know she had to change her trademark or whatever in the fall, but it's still not well. I think she's done kind of dumb things in terms of like trying to like tease stuff and have like the websites to be partially up or whatever. And it's like, why are you doing that? You should like stop with it's sort of the stuff where it's like needless teasing. It's sort of kind of looks sloppy more than it does like, a smart teasing campaign. There's a way to tease things that's smart and sort of like hints here and there, and then all of a sudden you reveal something and you see the pattern. This to me, like when the websites go up and they're not finished yet, all I can think of is some moron left the website up too long. Like that's all I can think of. And so it's just like, why didn't she take it down? Anyways, John Pritchard says, I believe Meghan should have done what Ginger Pear Tart does. She has a cooking show on the internet, but she does it in the nude. Even her recipes are great. Okay, I don't know about that. Laura says, good morning, Brittany, and woof woof to Miss Pippa from Dooku and Amy. Alienated says, tell us something about your YouTube journey, dear Brittany. Oh, why thank you. So I guess what I should say, I mean, there's so many things. One of the things I really wish I had done is prep more, have more videos in the can before going live. I mean, that would have been kind of challenging because I do deal with news, so I had to respond quickly to situations. But I feel like at some point I really should have had more prepared. And so I knew like I had things to rely on because I was working full time and I needed to take my dog to the park. And so I was staying up late and everything and long hours trying to get things done. But I don't regret it in a way, guys, because you really do have to. And I think this is something Meghan struggles with. You really have to, you have to drive. You have to have a drive to do something. You can't just rest on your laurels. You can't just say, oh, if this happened, like what does she say about her brand recently? Oh, if it's successful, that's great. If it's not, whatever. And Meghan said that. It's like, no, you should, if you're launching a brand, you should be, this is going to be the biggest success I've ever had. I'm going to work endlessly to make sure everything goes off smoothly. When she says that, you already know she's not putting in the effort to it. If you have this laissez-faire, oh, we'll see what happens attitude, you will fail because you're not driven. She's not driven at all. It's really quite interesting because, and I think somebody else was right when they say she knows she has like a fallback, which is the money they've made so far. And so she just doesn't have, I think, any desire to like really make it. I mean, she does and she doesn't, if that makes sense. Stephen Magnus, thank you so much for the super chat. One as ever trademark is now on a 3-month non-final action. This application was made in September 2024, unsigned, wrong goods listing to more the same. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's not surprised. Again, she's had an epic wreck with trademarks. And what I find is really interesting is that she's like, it's like constantly when she files domain names, constantly files trademarks. It's like, okay, stop going on a trademark binge. Just actually like figure out what you want to do, then file the trademark. Like this whole thing of going all over the place is just not good. And actually, I found it really interesting because I did a little bit of I was curious with Blake Lively because she launched Blake Brown. When did she file the trademarks? She literally filed them a couple days before she went live. And so I'm like, should Meghan have done that to sort of kind of shelter herself a bit better? Because the thing is, if you're using a trademark name and you're using it for a while, you kind of actually have common law rights to it. That's what a lawyer explained to me once. So you have sort of common law rights. And so it's not something where you need to sometimes, at least in the beginning, be like super duper all over it. I mean, if you're a celebrity, yes. And so it might have actually been a lot better for her to just work really, really hard at making sure the brand was in perfect shape and then file for the trademarks. I think she did it backwards. And that's just one example, guys. That's not indicative of everything, but I really do think it makes actually more sense for her to maybe have had pretty much everything in order, made sure they had done all the research before, and so they would not have any trademark issues and then file. The thing is, it looks like she can't do research. It looks like she's constantly stealing other people's things, and she had to like reverse American Riviera Orchard because the name was too geographically specific, and she couldn't get the trademark because the name was too geographically specific. And so that was like always the case. So it's like, who is running this up? You almost get I almost want to warn Meghan. I'm just saying this. I don't know if this is true, but I may rethink your lawyers. That would be my suggestion to her, because you've had way too many problems for the amount of money you have to like screw up this badly. So, who's making a lot of money out of this and all the, kind of endless trademark filings? Your lawyers. Just putting that out there. Just putting that out there for you to just think about, just consider. So we have Carol saying, hello, Miss hello, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and chat from Southwest Florida. Pat Lane says, good morning, everyone from South Carolina. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. I think everyone is getting tired of the Sussexes. I would love if everyone just focused on the true royal family. I mean, that's true. And people say that, but then they don't watch the regular royal family videos. So that's kind of here and there. So it's not that they don't want to focus on the regular royals. It's just like people do like the train wreck. But I think it is getting to the point of it's too much. And that was Meghan's mistake. Terry Stair said, good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and everyone from Maryland. Deborah says, good morning from stormy Alabama. Gumdrop says, meow to Miss Pippa. Oh, I hope you guys are staying safe there. I know there's a lot of storms in the South, or, kind of the deep South. So hoping everyone is okay. Joan G says, good morning from Alabama. Not 20 said, good morning, everyone. We have Terry says, hi, Brittany. What are the chances the media will start calling her Meghan Sussex? So here's the thing. This will be mixed. So you will have some people who call her Meghan Sussex. It seems to be more something people in speaking call her, but she still wants to be, she's still the Duchess of Sussex in every written thing. So it's like, what? And because of SEO reasons, same things, why they use Kate Middleton, they will still probably use Meghan Markle. It's just, this wasn't done well. This wasn't done well. So I just feel like it's sort of a mess. And just because she did not do it well, I'm still going to call her Meghan Markle because there's ways to do this that made more sense. All right. Do we have Nicole says good night from Western Australia? Good night. Athena Temple says good afternoon from Northern Ireland. Hope everyone is well. Joan G says silly questions. Folks are showing a document where Catherine's legal name as Mountbatten Windsor. True. I haven't looked at it myself personally, but we do have a legal document from when they were filing their lawsuit over the topless pictures, and she's legally on there as Catherine Elizabeth Middleton. And William is actually not even sure. I think they call him Prince William, Philip Louis Arthur Mountbatten Windsor. So in 2012, she was still legally Catherine Elizabeth Middleton. So I don't know about the other form, if they sort of did that and it was a mistake. It was like a trademark filing in the US. I don't know if they did that as a mistake. I don't know if, I don't know all the legalese surrounding it. But I do know in 2012, she was still had her maiden name. My understanding has always been is that because of, and this is very true across royal families in a lot of ways, is that when you are blood, you sort of are a step above anybody who marries in. Don't shoot the messenger. That's just how it works. So oftentimes the last name of the royal family always takes precedence over the previous royal name, or they don't even get to use it because technically they are not that. Yes, they are family. Yes, their kids are in line of succession, but you're not actually the blood royal. And again, it's archaic, but that is largely how it works. I know at least in Sweden, and I had tried to look this up and I couldn't find it, but I remember reading about it at the time. And I just have a weird freakish memory for things that Princess Madeline of Sweden, her children are Bernadottes. They're not O'Neill. Her husband's name is Christopher O'Neill. Her kids' last names are Bernadotte, which is her royal family last name. They might be Bernadotte slash or dash O'Neill, but her name takes precedence because she is the blood royal. And their importance and their titles come from her as a royal. So it's just very different. It's sort of a weird thing. So I can't say that for sure. It might, if Catherine didn't have to, let's say, write it down legally and somebody else was filing it on their behalf, they might not have had to, let's say, use any legal documents. Because my understanding has always been is that she's still a Middleton, technically, in legal terms, but because again, the title she has is courtesy of her husband, not a title she actually has in her own right. It's just weird. It's, even in the birth certificate, she's labeled as the Duchess of Cambridge, and it's just kind of one of those weird legal things. I think to get too hung up on it is a bit strange, but at the same time, it's important to sort of show the distinctions, and that because I think everybody sometimes wants to use, things against Meghan. And it's I always say when I write, Catherine's still technically Catherine Middleton, and saying same as Meghan is still Meghan Markle. They're the same. And, people want to do anything to show Catherine is better sometimes. And I think that's not always appropriate in particular situations. So yeah, it's one of the things to consider there. But yeah, it's sort of a weirdness. It's just weird. It's just sort of frustrating, sort of not super clear. So Beverly says, good morning from San Antonio, Texas. We got Gemstone Girl from sunny but cold Bath. We have Christina says, good morning from chilly and foggy Maryland. Hope everyone is doing well. And Miss Pippa is back to her normal self. She mostly is. Carol says, yes, it was used for an application to trademark office. Yeah. So it's legal documents, but if they're filing on their behalf, do they need to have their legal names? That's a big question. So anyways, Creative Chaosify says, hello, Brittany, Miss Pippa, and RNN fam. Anna says, good morning, Brittany, Miss Pippa from Newton. Katie says, redacted copies of Harry's visa application were released on March 6th. What happened? If I haven't looked for them, but if there was nothing really to report, then there's probably really nothing to report there. So that was probably the case. Kind of like the Epstein files or whatever. It was they released them and then there was really no news because there was nothing new in there. So that must have been the case for Harry. Okay, Angel says, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Asma says, I thought it was 3 p.m. So you guys haven't had daylight savings time yet, as far as I'm aware. So, because you guys are only currently 4 hours ahead instead of 5. So it was 2. We have a Mark who gave a $50 super sticker. Why, thank you so much, Mark. That is so kind of you to do this morning. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. So we do have Roxanne here as well from NYC. And we have Shadish says, morning, all I had the joy of seeing my puppy discover the smell of crocus and daffodils yesterday. Make that into a Netflix show. From Brenda. Aw. We have Jenny says, good morning from Iowa. Jackie, hey Jackie. Hi Brittany. So glad you were able to. I was able to stay up for a live stream. Hope your family, and Miss Pippa are well. Do you think you would do a trip to Scotland and Ireland? I enjoyed London. Yeah. So the Scotland trip was a little bit expensive. It's like one of the most expensive trips they offer. So I did it once. Like I enjoyed it, but we also spent a lot of time in a bus traveling around. So it's like I was like, I don't know if I want to do it totally again, but I have thought about doing Ireland. I haven't actually done Ireland before. And so I'm kind of jumping around and trying trips I haven't really tried out before. So that's kind of the fun thing for next year, though. I think I'm definitely doing one to Crete, which sounds really cool because I've always wanted to go there. That's like been one of my like bucket list items. So hopefully we will see. So I'm looking at next year already, but I think we'll just do one trip next year. I didn't hear too much about the Christmas markets in the Baltics, and I'm kind of like, do I want to do that or not? I'm not sure. So we will see. But yeah, Scotland and Ireland, maybe a possibility. We have Kyle Strand. Thank you so much for the super chat. Meghan Markle is lay but not too bright. What is up with Megan Sussex? Good morning from a lost surfer in Chicago. Yeah, nobody knows what's really up with Megan Sussex. And again, this was not done well. There was a way for her to do it. I think that would have been broadly accepted. And I think it is predicated on her not going by the Duchess of Sussex. Because now we have like four competing names now. If you guys didn't realize, she goes by Meghan, and I saw in Archetypes and in her show, like with Love Meghan, instead with Love the Duchess of Sussex or something like that. And then in her new podcast, she says with Meghan. Then she has Megan Sussex. She dropped out of nowhere. Then still the Duchess of Sussex, and then everyone knows her as Meghan Markle. She has 4 different identities. She has to pick one. She can't start like jumping between different things. She has to pick one singular identity. You can't have 4. You can only have one. So, like, I don't know what she chooses. I don't know which way she goes, but like, she needs to choose one. And I think it's confusing to people. I'm confused. I think generally a lot of people are confused. Like, what do we call her? I don't know. It's weird. Like, even the news media, they're like sitting there scratching their heads. And that's not even good for her. I know some people go, well, that's just her. She's just manipulating things and yada, yada, which is true. But it's also not helpful. Like, I can't state that enough, guys. It's not helpful. It's not actually helping her. It's just muddying the waters and making things infinitely more complex and difficult and challenging and ridiculous. So she needs to pick, like, again, just one thing. Just, you can only be one. You can't be 6. You can be one. So if she's going to go by Megan Sussex, that's fine. But everything has to be Megan Sussex. You can't do Duchess of Sussex when you want to. It has to be Megan Sussex. That you have to choose that identity. If you go, again, too many things, it's like, are you like Carmen Sandiego? Like, what the heck is going on? So it just doesn't work. So I will say that for sure. Myra, thank you so much for the super sticker this morning. I do appreciate that. It's so kind of you. All right. Let's see. Steven says, turns all 3 of Megan's as ever trademarks applications were all unsigned. Yeah. Because she's like, again, she's not clever at this. Azima says, I will not be listening to the podcast. I don't think I will be either. Just seems like a waste of time. The Canadian Beaver says, hi, everyone. Hope you are doing okay. Elizabeth Weens said, good morning from Manitoba, Canada. My suspicion is that Meghan is laying the groundwork for returning to royal duty if her projects fail. That's why she's so forcefully pushing Sussex. I don't think so. The thing is, she doesn't get to control that. They don't want her. It was funny. I was listening to a totally different live stream with people who do not talk about royals. And there are Brits and Americans on this panel, and they kept starting to argue over who Meghan belonged to because like, we don't want her. And the Brits are like, well, we don't want her. Nobody wants her, which I almost feel bad about. Like, nobody, like, that would be so sad to have nobody wants you. But that's, again, the scenario she has set up for herself. Is she's become so obnoxious, nobody wants to have her around. And like, I should feel sorry for her, but I honestly don't. I really don't. There are ways to avoid this. There were so many things she could have done differently, and she just always made the worst mistakes. When she could pick option A, she always picks option D. I don't know how she does that. It's mind-boggling. Cindy says, "Good morning, all." Azuma says, "I'm exhausted by Meghan." So am I. And so are most people. That's actually when I was trying to think through, guys, because sometimes the titles of videos come to me at random times. I'm thinking about something. And I'm like, ooh, title. And I was like, kind of trying to come up with a title for the video. And I was just like, it was kind of flowing for me a little bit. And I think part of it was somehow exhausted by Meghan, but it was like more about overexposure. She's overexposed at this point. And it's I think it would work well if her stuff was well accepted, but it's just not. It's just not. She's just what she keeps trying to do, she's not good at. And she's missing that key thing, which is authenticity. So, guys, if I do more things and I put them out, like people like this seems sort of egocentric, but it's like obviously people like a bit of my personality. They like a bit of the way I'm on camera. So it's like you can explore different things because you've proven yourself in one space. The thing is, Meghan Markle hasn't proved herself anywhere yet. She just jumps from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing with no overarching, like, this is my purpose. And because you look at her stuff and you have archetypes, which is trying to combat like negative stereotypes about women, but it's really about her. And then you have With Love Meghan, which is about her hosting and her. And then you have now the podcast about Confessions of a Female Founder, which is supposedly supposed to talk to brilliant female founders, but it's also going to be a lot about her because she's going to use some of the information she gleans for her own stuff. So it's like, what is the overarching purpose? Like for me, I like royals. I like history. And actually have even said when it comes to royals, the reason I like it is a little bit of drama. You got history, you got jewelry, you got fashion. Those are four of my passions. I like all four of those things. And I've liked all four of those things for a long time. So none of the, like, everything fits together. And so even if I do different things like a history channel, a more like personalized fashion channel or whatever, it's all within the same realm of those kind of four, things I enjoy. And so it's like, why not? But I also enjoy like Hollywood things. I'm a bit of a nerd. And so I have those other things too that I could also turn into a channel because I genuinely love it. I just don't get the sense that Meghan really loves anything she's trying to do, except for loving Meghan. Oh, and we have a special guest. Oh, there's Miss Pippa. She just got her haircut. What do you guys think? Miss Pippa, can you look up there? They're up there. Oh, good girl. Good girl. So she's got like a smooth belly right now because all her hair is gone. So she's a little bald. I was thinking it was gonna get hotter, but it's not. But she's a good girl this morning. Mostly. We were sort of naughty in the night, but we were not too bad. Anyways, I'm just like looking. Oh, yeah. Okay. So do you want to hang out with me for a second while I answer questions? Yeah. Okay. Or you want to get down? You want to get down. Okay. You want to cuddle. All right. Okay. So we got Tara says, hello, my first live ever. Well, hello. Mariana says, I've been up since 4:30 a.m. So ready for human interaction. I'm good. The Canadian Beaver says, Markle fatigue. Yes, it is becoming to the point of fatigue. And if she was, I think, a decent talent, I think she might be better, but she's just not. Okay. All right. Disfan says, we'll be missing the live stream this morning. I'm so sorry. Debbie says, good morning. Good morning. You look very nice. Why, thank you. Thank you. Christina says, I feel like she's been overexposed for a while. She has a bit, but I feel like this is really, really, really getting to that point where it's too much. It's too much. Diaz says, Meghan reminds me of Susan Sarandon's character from the movie The Banger Sisters. I want to go out, but everything I own is beige. Yeah. Kate Angel says, I hope Pippa is doing better. She is doing better. Hello. Chris says hello from a Norwegian coastal ship above the Arctic Circle. Oh, so cool. So cool. I hope you get to see the Northern Lights. That would be awesome. Really bummed. I was going to go to Europe in the spring last year and I didn't get to go and I missed the Northern Lights. That was so sad. So sad. Yes, I know. Stop trying to give me kisses. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Mwah. Okay. You're very distracting, Miss Pippa. Miss K says, I read that a commercially unsuccessful Meghan could become dangerous to the RF. What's your take on this and how much damage Meghan or Harry could realistically do? All right, let's put you down. There's a monkey right there. With the monkey over there. So this is a good question because my thought has always been is that Meghan is sort of a danger when she's run out of ways to make money. It's like she can't make money as a royal. She can't make money like on a TV show. Like when she starts being unable to make money, my concern has always been is that she will start to make things up. And yes, we all know mostly that isn't true, but there is a cadre of people who do believe what she says. She can sway some people. And although like the people she swayed eventually kind of with like Oprah, a lot of them did, turn at some point against her again. But I think the danger has always been is that she will get more desperate to make money and she'll be more than willing to sell, herself, her family, her husband, anything in order to make money. The sole purpose right now is to make money. And yes, you need to make money to survive. Like the article in the Guardian says, like we're not mad at their attempts to make money. But I think what has always, I think, annoyed a lot of people is that it's clear she's only getting anything because of her connection to the royals, that they're not getting anything for talent or anything like that. And that sort of annoys people after a while. It's just sort of annoys people. And I think she is definitely getting there. And it is damaging her brand. So I think they do a lot of damage already. I think they do undermine the monarchy in a lot of ways. And I think the royals need to take that more seriously. Again, it's a association brand issue. If somebody is infringing on your brand, you need to take that risk seriously. So like I decided not to get on Blue Sky immediately because it's like, it's just another social media site. But somebody took my handle and was making comments that I would never make. And so it's like, I had to and it took a while, actually, a little bit. Well, they were suspended first for a while. And then it took Blue Sky a little bit to get back to me and go, hey, do you want, we saw your complaint, basically saying they were infringing. I think they call it squatting. And so it's like, I went over and they gave me that profile name, Royal News Network. Probably not going to really use it much, but now I own it because it's my brand. And it's like I have royalnewsnetwork.com. I don't really use it. But it exists there because somebody else could squat on it. So it's like I got to keep it for like infinity because don't want somebody else to have it. So it's like one of those things where it's just like I think the royals need to take the brand infringement Harry and Meghan have and take it more seriously. Don't just go, oh, well, we're the royals. It's like, it's not going to impact us. We're going to be fine. No, you treat it as a real risk. You kind of got to go, not medieval in a bad way, but medieval in the way it was like, they took those risks really seriously when somebody was, going against the family or something. That was taken seriously. And the royals should take it a bit more seriously too. I think Charles wants to keep the door open. I think he wants a relationship with his son. I don't blame him for that. But again, I come back to, he needs to think more like a king and less like a father. Because right now you have a bigger burden here. And your son has made his decisions. He has to live with them. The door is always open. That's the thing. The door is always open, but you can't live the rest of your life going, well, I don't want to hurt Harry's feelings or his wife's because, they scream racism when they're mad. Like, don't do that. You will be forever trapped in an endless cycle of basically allowing them to abuse you. Just let it go. That's my little soapbox there for 5 seconds. All right, we do have Cindy here. Thank you so much for the super sticky sticker. Cindy, that is so, so kind of you. I do appreciate it. Nicole says, good evening, Brittany. Cheers for the live. First time here. It's bedtime. Aw. Azima says, what does Meghan do all day? Stare at herself in the mirror? I have no clue, but they don't do that much all day. All right. DG66 says the more we talk about the despicable Meghan, the more popular she gets. Ignore Meghan. It's actually really not the case. That's really, really not the case anymore. It was the case at some point that the all press is good press. But guys, in this world of social media, rapid fire media, everything like that, the idea that the more we talk about her, the more popular she is not true. There is such a thing as bad press. And that's what she's getting. It's a very antiquated notion, I think, to think that, you're talking about somebody who's going to make her more popular. It really doesn't. I think actually the reality is that the more people talked about our show, the more people watched, the more people disliked her. And the viewing audience wasn't even that big, 2.6 million. And the thing is, they get that by dividing, and I just realized this, dividing watch time by the amount of time it takes to watch a series. So they're banking on, or they're trying to tell people, well, everybody watched the series because it took 2.6 million people watched the series because if you divide it by the watch time. However, what if a lot of that time was just for the first 2 episodes? So that actually might technically mean she had more viewers, but fewer people watched to the end. And that's actually the metric Netflix knows that they'll never share, but they 100% know it. If they know people only got through 2 episodes or never finished past the first episode or something like that, Netflix does know that. And that is damaging because Netflix hires somebody to keep them to watch the entire time. Again, guys, watch time is huge. People think, oh, it's views. It's not. It's actual watch time is big. So when I have sometimes these live videos, I actually decide to add the Crown Report, and I may add another one at some point because you talk so long, there's more ads and they actually generate a decent amount of revenue. I didn't know that until I was looking at the metrics one day. I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but they're longer and people watch for a longer period of time. So it's and if I have a longer video, maybe it gets less views, but the watch time is longer, so it generates more revenue. I'm just saying. So Netflix, again, knows that too. They know that too. They want people to watch for the entire show. If people are tuning out or if they watch 5 seconds of it and leave, or even let's say 5 to 10 minutes, you do have to watch 70% of the episode to be considered a view, is Netflix's own internal metric. But the way they calculate it, that's actually not really the case. So either way, I don't think this did well. I don't think this did what they wanted it to do. You don't hear a lot about the middle episodes because nobody watched them. They watched the first 2 and maybe the last one, and that was it. So interesting thing to think about. Carol says, Brittany, well, awesome videos this week. Love Catherine's one-hit wonders. Me too. Yeah, if you guys haven't checked out that video on Royal Fashion News, you definitely should. So I went through and picked out 12 of my favorite looks from Catherine that she has only worn one single time. So there are they're my personal favorites. There are more. And as I was doing the video, I was like, darn, there was this one and this one and this one. I forgot that one. So I was like, well, okay, we'll make it part of a series. And then there will be some guys where I'm like, never again. Don't wear this again. Just don't, Catherine. But yeah, because there's a couple of dem pieces. I'm like, eh. So we have Tony who says, hello from Ohio. I'll have to catch what I missed later. Taking my pup for a 2-year checkup. Aw, I hope they have a good time. Steven says one has to be given a non-final action, so the other 2 will probably be given if you reject it again. Oh gosh. This is it's just embarrassing at this point. Guys, it's so cute, Miss Pippa. There's a blanket right in front of me behind the camera, and Miss Pippa's laying on it. So cute. Vinu says, why don't you mind your own business? I think you don't have anything constructive to do, always criticizing her. Actually, I think my criticism is actually very constructive. That's the thing. I try to be constructive in my criticism, talking about things that could be done better or how things are done differently, because I hope it helps other people. So I actually consider my criticism to be quite constructive overall. So that is just my personal opinion. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Care Bear says, hi, Brittany. Do you think Meghan should just lean into being a bully? Because I would definitely listen to Confessions of a Palace Bully. That would make money. I actually, agree. Something that she's actually again, I just don't come back to I come back to the premise of, okay, I'm supposed to buy into that you're talking to these female founders. Fine. But you're not good at business. So how could you ask decent business questions of female business founders when you're not decent at business? And if you talked to them months ago, why haven't they helped with any of this fiasco? Obviously you didn't take their advice. So what was the point? So yeah, nah. Yeah, she should really lean into her love of, trinket jewelry, expensive trinket jewelry. She should lean into sort of her disdain for royals and everything. Like there are things she could lean into, but again, it's Megan's a weird mix, guys, of narcissism, control issues, and massive insecurity. So those are like she has all those kind of things wrapped in together. So she has to be too controlled. So she can't really lean into the absurdity of things because she's too worried about like looking badly in a weird way, even though she'll squat for Ellen, she can't look bad in certain lights. So it's weird. It's weird. But yeah. I would listen to that one over what she's going to do. Becky says, good morning from Colorado. Cindy says, first live. Why, welcome. Furby5 says, John Prichard, would you honestly like to see someone with a SpongeBob SquarePants figure standing there? Yeah, I don't like I mean, to each their own, I guess. But Godzilla Manstrap, good morning. Saturday morning from the Windy City. Kendra says, excited to make a live finally. Yay. NAA says, Brittany, at the start of lives, please spend time just saying hello for 2 minutes because ads, come on. The word sentence is jarring. That's so weird because I actually made sure this time actually not to turn on ads. So hopefully it wasn't as bad. So I guess it doesn't totally work. Cyan says, greetings, Brittany from Northern UK Wales and Miss Pippa. Marjorie says, it's just too much. She's the butt of a lot of online jokes and memes. The podcast will be the final straw, I think, the end of the dreams. Yeah. And again, guys, her product line is very lame at the moment. It has to be the best raspberry spread ever. It has to be the best tea ever. It has to be the best shortbread mix ever. Or do people even want the shortbread mix? She will have some fans who buy everything, and I get that. But I think she will struggle to really like her chance to find a larger audience died with the show. I think it'll keep dying. We have Lori says, good morning. Kay Angel says, Megan needs to go away and stay away. I believe everyone is getting sick with her. That's the thing. The thing is when it's not just us talking, but when it's like the general public is starting to get sick of her or people who don't watch Royals are like, please make this woman go away. That's when you have a problem. And again, it doesn't come from the fact that Megan is necessarily like a hugely bad person or anything. It just comes from the fact that it's too much and she just doesn't have the time. I really do think it comes down to talent, guys. If Taylor Swift was doing 12 things, people would be all over it. They would love it. She's not Taylor Swift. She has not proven she has a decent talent in the industry she's trying to work in. She was a mediocre actress, had a mediocre blog. I don't know where her skills and talents lie, but it's not in what she's trying to do right now. Rachel says, good afternoon from Cameroon. Ooh, so glad to catch the live. That is quite the country. That's very, very cool. I always like it when I get like sort of like far reaching countries. I'm like, ooh, that's so awesome. Roxanne says, confessions of a bully. Yes. Joy Smith from South Carolina says, good morning. Kendra says, made it through Arkansas tornadoes last night and I'm alive and well to be here live. Good. I'm glad. Scary. Yeah, I've heard, I think 3 people died in the storms, which is wild. The Canadian Beaver says, I look forward to Saturdays. Asma says, don't they preach against cyberbullying? Yep. And then they incentivize our fans to do it. It's so fun. Steven says, sorry, Archibald Foundation gave me 250,000, but I can't seem to find it now. Yeah. So yeah, there's that issue too. I haven't really had a chance to delve into it yet, but yeah, there's a complaint about the money they gave to Ashley Biden. And so it's just like, oh gosh, guys. Athena says confessions of a bunion boiler. Oh my gosh. And yeah, I went to the doctor this week and so hopefully I'll get some physical therapy, but yeah, I have a bone spur from a break that I had in my foot and so it's like kind of in a weird spot and I really debated going I just want surgery to have it removed and then I'm like, well, I'll try physical therapy first. But it was bugging me all day yesterday, so we'll see how that goes. Rose and Nadeem says, hi, Brittany from London. All that to say is like, I just don't know if I'll ever be able to wear the high heels I have in my closet. So we'll see. Mark says, I'm so happy to finally be able to join a live stream. My work doesn't normally allow it. Well, I'm so glad, Mark, you were able to make it. That's awesome. Asma says, Miss Pippa, we miss you. Yeah, she missed you guys too. She's, again, chilling on her bed thinking this is cold. I'm like, cold mom, you took all my hair off. Pastry says, hi, Brittany. I used to follow you on my personal page and would listen to you when I'm baking back in Papua New Guinea, a Commonwealth country and an avid royalist. Love your content. Why, thank you. From Papua New Guinea, too. We have Cameroon and Papua New Guinea. That's very cool. Carol, hi, all from the Netherlands. Love the Netherlands. Stephanie says, hello, everyone from Queen Mary's hometown, Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. 1 a.m. here, a warm night. So only a few degrees colder, warm as daytime right now. 24 Celsius, 75 Fahrenheit. That's not bad. That's not bad. Sue Webb says, greetings from North Yorkshire. Forrest says, woof woof to Miss Pippa. How is Miss Pippa? She's doing good. She's just a little chilly because I took all her hair away. Miss K says, is it just me? I find dissing her face, feet, and body stoops to a level of the Sussex squad. Stay professional, criticize her behavior, and lack of business acumen. That's what I always try to do. Don't really try to attack the features because, we all have things we're not, we don't like or whatever. And, nobody's perfect. So it's sort of a indicator of a weak argument if you can only attack the person and not the argument, you could say. Azima says, I am unsure what the brand is. Yeah, me too. Everybody's unsure. NAA says, Miss K, I agree with you. You are so right. The Canadian Beaver says, our new PM was sworn in yesterday, pledging his allegiance to our king and his heirs. Awesome. Laura says, how is Meghan able to keep her kitchen so clean? I'm making a layered cake for 9-year-old's birthday party, and my kitchen is so messy right now because she has people to clean up after her. That's a simple answer. And yeah, that's just the thing. So yeah, it's again, one of the things I like, it's funny because some people go, oh, well, it's aspirational. It's not meant to be real. But it's like she shows this sort of perfect life and then claims you can have it all. I'm like, but you're not mentioning the nannies, the housekeepers, the gardeners, the personal assistants, the chefs that you can bring in, like all the people there to help you that normal people do not have. So the idea that you can have it all and manage everything well, like she's kind of claiming to do on her show, is just complete BS. And I feel like it sets up a bad precedence for moms for going, well, I'm trying to do it all and I can't. It's like, yeah, you can't because she can't even do it all. She has all this help to do it. So it's just one of those things. Anyways, Chris, who's been a member for 19 months. Thanks, Chris. Loved Catherine's one-hit wonders. Taking my guests on a harbor walk at Nextport. Have a great week to all of you. Well, thank you so much, Chris. We got the Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish flags there. I can't wait. Really excited to go back to Denmark. I think it was cheaper too with flights. I'm able to do one other day in Denmark, which I'm super excited about because last time I only got like 24 hours and I had like cram everything in. And it was really just going to Rosenborg Castle. So I will go back there again because they've adjusted and updated the display with the tiaras and everything. So I do want to see that. I don't need to go inside the actual castle thing again, just inside the treasury there real quick. And then like see what else there is to do. Because last time was just such a whirlwind and everybody was so nice and everything in Denmark. And then hoping to get to Sweden this year for the christening. We'll see when that is. Because I'd like to get over to the UK for the big World War II celebrations. And so I'm seeing I have that week sort of. I actually already have a hotel booked. And I'm curious, that should be just maybe around the time they do the christening. I'm really hoping it is. If it's late May, then that kind of screws me over. If it's early June, that could work. But then I'd be going early April, early May, early June. That's not the end of the world. But I would like to do an event in Spain and Belgium this year, but I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, guys. All right. So we have Peggy Spungen says, good morning. Politics aside, last night on the Ingram angle, Laura had Raymond Areo on with his Friday Follies, and he really slammed Meghan Markle's series and her podcast. It was quite funny. I'll have to look that up. And again, I like it's so. What I like too is just seeing people who don't normally follow the Harry and Meghan saga talking out about it, because I think that just shows that she's really starting to hit a really negative nerve here. It's not just like us in the community that watches royals that are reacting. It's outside people going, make her go away. Why isn't she going away? And I think that's when you've hit like market saturation, you're overdoing it, you're way overexposed, and people just don't like it, and they don't like you. She's not likable, unfortunately. She's very fake, and this is a time of authenticity. And so to be fake is just like kind of the kiss of death. Like, and I don't think she can be anything else because I think she's too self-conscious to actually just be sort of herself. She doesn't really like herself. But Peggy, thank you so much for the super chat there and the question. And Yeah, we will. Well, not sort of the question, but the comment, and I'll have to go check that out. Gretchen the first says, "Good morning, all. Laundry day, coffee, and RNN chat to make it less boring." Well, I'm glad we have Leandra says, "Good morning." So we have, let's see. Stephanie says, "I doubt Harry and Meghan have gotten anything close to 100 million from Netflix." Yeah, no, definitely not. So what I think is sort of happening is that they get money for certain things, and I think they actually did tie in some of their production deal money that they would have gotten to producing her products. So I'm sure they get a massive, massive chunk of whatever she sells for the foreseeable future or forever for the brand. But if I was partnering with her and her like kind of comment was, "Well, we'll just see what happens. Hopefully it does well," I would be like out of business with her in a heartbeat, because it's like you need to ride or die your business, especially at the beginning. Jack MD says maybe Harry is experiencing Stockholm syndrome. Probably a little bit. Leanna says she has 3 months for being Durkee from the documentary The Wonderful Wild Whites of West Virginia. Oh, J Band says, has Meghan actually secured the trademarks for As Ever? Or are we going to have a repeat of Arrow? She has not secured them. She's not secured them. Carol says, bun with that hat. No, she should have done braids. Yeah. Missy Lulu says she looks like a robot and what she's doing staring at the tree. So this is talking about this. Yeah, it's like really fake looking. It's not even like, it doesn't even like, the thing is, if in order, like it looks like she's just placing her hands on the tree as if she's doing something. Like to actually make this picture work, you have to actually be working on the tree. You can't just stand there and fake it. You got to do it. And if you're not doing it, then you look fake. This looks so unbelievably fake. And yeah, it's just not helping her image at all. Gola says in their announcement, Lemonade called her Duchess of Sussex, not the Duchess. Yeah. Yeah, she's not adding the on there. And I think that's kind of interesting and telling, because if she divorces and she doesn't have the on there, she doesn't have to change things. Just saying. Mayor Toner says, morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. Carol says, have you heard from Dan Wooten that she stole the podcast idea from someone? Yeah. Yeah. So I saw that. I don't think it's a very big channel. So like, it's kind of hard to totally say, but if she's done it for a while and stuff, I haven't really looked at it. Is like overall, it's just a repeat of a concept. Like it's such a obvious, boring name. I was curious. I was like, Confessions of a Historian. I'm curious if that's out there. Much of that is because it's just such a familiar thing. Yeah, like there's so many things. Confessions, like when I put in Confessions of a Historian, Confessions of a Revisionist Historian, Confessions of a Living Historian, Confessions of a Mormon Historian, as like Confessions of a Fashion Historian, Confessions of a Library Historian, like Confessions of a Historian of Jewish Culture, Confessions of a Hamburger Historian. Like there's so many things there that I would not use Confessions of a Historian because there's too many things competing. Like that's so obvious. Like why I chose Royal News Network is that there was literally nobody else with that name, except for I think some random place in I think Pakistan or some show. They have something that's like Royal TV or something like that. Other than that, there's nothing like my name. That's why I got all the handles for it. There was nothing like it. And you wanted that for Google purposes. It's like she's like, have you never heard of Google? You got to like get the right Google things. All right. So Wendy Van Roekel says, and thank you so much for the super chat. My grandmother used to sit for minutes after supper and jokingly say, that darned maid did not show up again before she clean up after the meal. Meghan obviously does nothing. I like that. I like your grandmother. That's awesome. It's like, where is my maid? I would love that because it's like, because like we do all want that. Like when I make something and I like look at the mess in my kitchen, I'm like, oh, and I'm trying to do better about like actually cleaning up after my meals. Cause I would say I'm like a bit of a type B person. I'm a bit like not type A. Place is messier than it should be, to like be perfectly honest. A lot messier than it should be. So that is obviously my mistake. But it's like one of those things where it's just like I'm so busy, I just like forget to do things, or I'm like, I'll do this later. I'll do this later. I'll do this later. And then it's like later. I still haven't done it. So I just really it's such a cute joke your grandma does. And it's like Meghan just like I will probably hopefully hire like somebody to come and clean my place every couple of weeks or something, just because I just don't feel like I have time to do it. I like have a bookkeeper now, in part because I don't have time to reconcile my receipts. And I'm actually really excited because when I travel next, they'll get to look at my receipts for me, my statements, and I won't have to do anything. And I'm so excited. Like they can do it all, and I don't have to do it because it's like so hard to do and keep up with. And so it's like one of those things where it's like she has somebody to offload the like annoying bits of life to. And most people do not have that. And I feel like she does people a disservice by not acknowledging all the immense help she has. And not like how rude is it to them? She even said on Drew, like she caught herself when she goes, whoever's with them, with her kids is like, except for saying like the nannies, acknowledge that you have nannies, acknowledge the work they do to help you. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't fault you for having nannies. Catherine and William have a nanny, and we know who she is, and she's been with the family forever. And she's there because the parents work and they have to have a careful work-life balance and everything. Although Catherine and William are definitely 100% their kids' parents. But I feel like Meghan is so rude not to acknowledge the people who help make her life possible. I think it's so rude. So rude. All right, Catherine with a K, thank you so much for the super chat from Mary Old UK. I almost said Mary Old London, but then I realized you might not be in London. So, hi, Brittany and Piper Love from West Yorkshire. Did you know that the Tower of London are doing another poppy display from May until November for World War II? They did the same for the start of World War I in 2014. Yes. So I'm going to hopefully fly in for like that early part of May when they're going to do most of the displays, because there's two events that sound really well, actually three, because I think the ceramic poppies, William, Catherine, and Harry went to check them out. I think that might be similar again. And then you also have, there's going to be a military parade from Whitehall to Buckingham Palace and then a fly past. So what would be a fly past without the royals standing on the balcony? Let's be honest. And then there'll be like modern and historic planes, which would be really cool. And then we also have, goodness gracious, a church services Westminster Abbey, which I think the royals will be at as well. So those will be a couple of things surrounding there. And I do want to see the ceramic poppies. I think they would be super cool. So hopefully we get over there. So yeah, thank you so much for the super chat. It's going to be really cool, but I'm glad they're keeping it around until November. That's pretty awesome. So Christopher says the 8-part kitchen show is simply a video recording of adults indulging and spoiled overindulgent child in a game of let's play cooking at home. Markle woman is stuck at the age of 11. She has the emotional maturity of, yeah. We have Linda. I'm overly saturated with her. I don't care anymore. I'm not interested. Won't watch anything of hers. I would like her to just go away. That's kind of everybody's feeling right now. Alexandra, hello from insanely hot Sofia, Bulgaria. I'm surprised it is insanely hot, but very cool. I've not been to Bulgaria. Oh, I do like the show Psych. There's like a funny little bit. I think it's in season 4 where he's like talking to somebody and he doesn't really know. He's like speaking in Spanish to the Bulgarian embassy and he goes, "Me gusta Bulgaria." And then something about trampoline. It's very funny. You got to see it. But I love that. He goes, "Me gusta Bulgaria." I thought, and this is from Gretchen the First, I thought I saw another content creator might have the name Meghan Podcast under copyright. Those searches are not hard, people. Yeah, so it'll depend on if she actually had it copyrighted or not. But the thing is, if you've used it for a while, like you kind of have common like law to the name. Yes, you do need to like legally protect it too. But if you have been using it, you have kind of like the common right usage of it. This is sort of my understanding. K West says, Ball had to announce season 2, I assume as ever product. Isn't that a clothing item? Because of the China co, she can't do clothing. Who checks her stuff can be sued for that. Half and bath salts. That is the big question. So thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, that is a bit of a question. Trademark claims may not include like hats. It might include clothing, but not hats. But I think that the hat is terrible. Like her stupid, like, and I want to say it again, stupid were like food puns. I just don't get breadily or not here. I crumb. It's like, how long did you think of that? That's dumb. That's just not. And like let us remain calm. Like, I don't understand. It's not as clever as she thinks it is. So she must think it's really clever because she's going hard on it, but I just don't think it's that clever. Frank says, you wondered how many non-royal dukes were no longer wealthy. The reason are heirs squandering wealth and not adding to what they were given, combined with socialist laws in the 1920s. Yeah, those pesky inheritance taxes are really killing some of those aristocratic families. Loretta says, and she needs to let the podcast first if she actually lets the women speak. We are judging without saying that, and that is not fair. I think, I mean, it's fair that we're judging it without seeing it, which is not fair. But at the same time, we have a pretty good track record. And so we kind of know where it's going to go. And even in her announcement about it, she talks about helping herself. So how can she help us if she's really just there helping herself? So we got Lee Foster. Morning, Brittany. You are so right. She's a terrible businesswoman. Sussex stands are making her recipes and sprinkling flowers on everything, but they had to buy other brands because hers isn't out. Yep, that is dumb. That is really dumb. You want your stuff to be ready when your show is. Like, otherwise, again, her sycophantic fans will have always bought it. But the thing is, the curious might have been more willing to buy it that first week the show was out. But by the time it comes out, will they care? Probably not. Asma says, why does Meghan think she should get paid for doing nothing? Because that's kind of her shtick, I guess. Tara Ellis says, how much money do you think they've made so far since defecting the UK? I mean, they made quite a bit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they made upwards of like 50 million or something, but they have a lot of expenses. Their house is expensive. The area they live in is expensive. They have an expensive security apparatus, which I think is largely unnecessary. It's just there to feed their egos. And so they have taxes and stuff. So like, have that. And that's probably the cash they have. But then like with taxes and everything, but then they have so many things. So I mean, it's just don't think they've made that much. I think I actually did a calculation of it one time. And it's like they're really sitting on not a huge amount of money. And I think that's true. That's why she had to partner with Netflix. That's why she had to give a big control of this over to Netflix, because she couldn't do it herself. It's like she's claiming they're partners. I'm curious how Netflix would describe it, because I would like controlling the company. Christina says, I don't think Meghan takes anything serious and just does things to be in the news. That's part of it. Linda says, Meghan Markle has no work ethic. She doesn't want to work. She wants to be paid for being regional. Meghan Markle, Sussex. Yeah, I agree with that. Gretchen the First says, a lot of people park domains. I have some. Actually, I have an idea, but I need to look into how to trademark copyright work. Yeah, it's like I have a couple of domains too. I'd like keep them. And when I was doing my taxes, I just told her, I was like, I just have these domain names. I may use them, I may not, but I'm just parking on them for now. At some point I need to clear the decks, I guess. But for right now, I'm just keeping them around. Leandra says, as never is more than a grift. It's a good grab language created by Meghan, just as the Sussex, as never comes to you from a collection of products, each inspired by her long-lasting love of grifting. Yeah, there's no real reason for her brand to exist. She's given us no reason why her particular products exist, what she's passionate about. All those things are very important to selling a business. Kitty Paw says, I already just read her Instagram name as Severe. It's Severe official, which is kind of accurate. Yeah. Steven says, Meghan isn't good at following advice. Did you know MM Global LLC was registered by Meghan in Delaware? Yeah, she has tons of companies. That's the thing. She has tons of companies registered and like nothing going on. So it's like, what? Kate Angel says, does anything think Harry will divorce her? He might. I think he's starting to feel a bit of the misery here. Margaret says, good afternoon, Brittany and everyone. We got Josie. Her website is awful if you compare it to Paula Dean, Giadzi, Rachel Ray, and others online shop store. Yeah, it's awful. One of the things, guys, when it comes to, and this is just general website design, like you don't want something like this. Because you want people to immediately be able to purchase and buy your products. Granted, now she's not actually selling something, but it's like you have to scroll down to get on the list and figure out what the heck is offered. It's a terrible website design. Terrible website design. It looks pretty. It's aesthetically pretty, I guess, but it's an awful website design for selling things. She's still using Article. I don't know if their specialty is actually selling things or not. That I don't know. Leandra says Blake Brown is Blake Lively's name. Someone most likely would not be able to use that name anyways. So it's actually not. So this is a weird thing. Her father actually took her mother's last name. So he's actually Lively too. So yes, technically she should be Blake Brown, as that is her father's original last name, but he changed his last name. So I think her legal last name is Lively. But when it comes to the name, If nobody else had the name and they knew that and they had done their proper research, I don't think it's actually like I don't know the ins and outs. I would have to actually ask a trademark attorney, but based on what I see, it makes a lot more sense for then Megan to actually sit and build the brand first and then to file the trademarks later. Yes, that might seem a little backwards, but you have this thing now where she's constantly filing trademarks and failing. And yes, like if she had products going out, that would be really bad. But if she had decent trademarks attorneys, like again, it's just my personal opinion, but this doesn't seem to happen to anybody else. Why is this only happening to her? I, if I was Megan, I would seriously consider maybe getting different lawyers or actually listening to your lawyers because it could be totally the case too. She's not listening to her lawyers. Alex G says, I think Harry is too prideful to divorce her, but when he reaches his limit, he might. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think he is frustrated. I like when you're talking about, I love my life. It's so great here. And he doesn't even smile. It's like, okay, the look on your face doesn't match what you're saying. So obviously there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. And so what is it? I don't know, but there's a disconnect there. And it's not that anybody is advocating for them to get divorced. I've never really advocated for that, but I'm just saying, and I think this is a good lesson for everyone to learn, is be careful who you marry. Really think about that. That is a huge decision because he has now wrecked a good portion of his life. He will never have the same relationship with his brother. He will never have the same relationship with his father. He is removed from his country. He's removed from his job. He's removed from his purpose. He is removed from his friends. He's removed from anything familiar. Now he's in a separate country with children. Do you think she's going to let him take his children home? No. She doesn't even let him do that now. Will she let him do that if they divorce? No. He's now stuck in the United States and he will be stuck there until they're 18. Unless Charles changed the letters of patent, which is my suggestion to say that only children raised and educated in the UK can have royal titles, which they need to do, then maybe Meghan would be convinced to go back to the UK. But at this point, the answer is sort of no. And so he's stuck there. He's totally stuck there. And it's one of those things where like he screwed up his life. I'm sorry, but he did. He did in a lot of ways. I think he'd be a lot happier. Like he's gone back now to basically being a royal because he can't seem to do anything else. I think William could do something else. Harry can't. And so I think Harry feels just disappointment, resentment, confusion, anger, frustration, so many different things. And like he's too prideful to divorce her, but at the same time, it's like there has to be a level of misery there. I'm sorry, but I just don't believe he's super duper happy. Is California a nice place to live? Yes. But like when you've given up everything you ever know and like you're living in a difficult situation, that's going to be annoying. That's going to be frustrating. You can't ignore that forever. And so, yeah, I do think he'll be too prideful. And I think that's pretty sad for him in a lot of ways, but I do think he's miserable. That's just my personal opinion. You could take it for what you want, but I can't imagine he's all that happy. I like when he said, I'm so happy and he can't smile. It's like, you should be smiling, going, yeah, this is like the greatest place to live ever. I'm loving it. It's so amazing. And like he had a lot of he talked about having opportunities. And sorry, I'm taking long on this. He talked about having opportunities. But the only opportunity he had here that he didn't have there is for his wife to try to make a boatload of money in Hollywood because that's what she's always wanted. He was too poor for her. And so that's got to he's already kind of a shell of a guy in many ways because he's been totally emasculated. And so like he's allowed it to happen, yes. And he gets moments where I think he gets to feel like being the hero. I'm sure she allows him to do that from time to time, but it cannot be an easy life either, especially if things are not going well and she's frustrated and mad and angry. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like I in a way, I do feel sorry for him a little bit, just a little bit. All right, so we do have a Yorkshire teacup. Thank you so much for the super sticker here. I really do appreciate it. And we have Lou Ann Patton as well. Thank you so much for the super chat there. Good morning, all. Was up till 3 a.m. due to tornadoes here in Illinois and the ones in St. Louis, Missouri, where my oldest grandson lives. Please give Miss Pippa a treat. God bless all and stay safe, everyone. Why, thank you. I will give her a treat. It was really cute when she got done with her grooming appointment. The groomer, because it's a little small shop, put her down and there's a bunch of treats in there. And so it was like she was able to sniff a bit. I was curious if she would steal one. And I mean, of course I would get it if she stole it, but I just was curious if she would. And so yeah, she gets a little bag of treats, but we will get her more because she loves her treats. There's a special one I get her like all the time. So yeah, it's like a little place that makes some good doggy treats, so it's fun. Jackie Quarterman, thank you so much, Jackie. Megan doesn't seem to plan her business adequately or listen to any valid, valuable advice before launching her product successfully. Constantly changing her brand name makes it very confusing. Yes, it is very confusing. She's a very, very confusing brand, and constantly changing the name. And I think having poor products, all the trademark issues, like basically she's probably just paying lawyer men who are just like, yeah, I've told her like the truth, but she doesn't want to believe me. And so it's like, yeah, I'll just take her money um and file this trademark that I know is going to flop because she told me to. Like, and that's just my supposition, that's just my theory, that's just my thought. Lawyers, that's just my potential ideas. Like, cause like, what do you do if your client won't take advice and they still want to proceed? It's like, well, I guess they'll learn the hard way. And she just doesn't seem to have learned yet. Nadia says, sometimes I have the feeling Harry and Meghan are working for powerful people to distract us from something because I can't believe that someone like Meghan can be so stupid. There's a lot of stupid people out there, or a lot of people who could do something better than they are doing, I guess you could say. Asima says, does Meghan know how to make a business plan? No, I don't think she does. Gretchen the First says, what if she even has lawyers, is just thinking she's so much smarter than everyone and thus doesn't need them? Probably that. And then you could have this situation too where people are just annoyed. So they're like, well, we'll let you fall on your face. I told you to do it the other way. You decide not to. I'm just going to enjoy watching you fail. Like, and again, that's sad that she set up that situation for herself. Julie says, good afternoon. Neely says that Meghan is driven to attain fame and money, but not put in the hard work. Yeah. It was kind of interesting too. The live stream I was watching was talking about the importance of hard work and like hard work versus like in realms of success, hard work versus being given something. And they were talking about a particular actor and how he was like essentially given this huge part of this role, which was true. And then he talked about like kind of applying it to everything. It's like success is a gift. It's not really something you can work towards. And it's like, that's totally wrong. And the guys were agreeing with that. It's like, that's totally wrong. You have to put in the hard work. Success is often the fruition of hard work. And yes, it might be a small success. Yes, it might be a success that you don't think is particularly impressive or that isn't particularly like as cool as, being a Oscar winning actress or something like that. Although I feel like people don't care about that anymore. Anyways, so it's like there is a level of luck to things. Yeah, because I had somebody in my comments once telling me I was just lucky with my YouTube channel. I was like, no. Does luck play a role? Yes. Some things are about timing. Some things are about, hitting the right notes. There's a lot of different factors here, but I work really, really hard. It's not just luck. It is hard work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time and energy sometimes to keep up with everything. So I think it's sort of offensive to call certain things luck, because yeah, there is an element to that, but you're not just given things either. You have to work for them. And Meghan doesn't want to work. That's why it's like, I almost find it so offensive. It's like, she doesn't want to work. It's like so obvious she doesn't want to work hard at it. She just wants people to give her money and buy her stuff because she's Meghan the Duchess of Sussex. Give me a reason, Meghan Markle, why I should buy your tea instead of going to the grocery store and buying tea or going to Wittard's and buying tea. Why do I need to buy yours? And it can't just be because you're the Duchess of Sussex. You need to have a better reason than that. And so let's see if she ever comes up with a better reason. So far, it's just, I had to study abroad once in France. Well, I studied abroad in Spain, Megan, and I'm not creating a brand based on, a favorite like gelato or something. I got a lot of gelato. I'm not creating a brand based around gelato just because I was in Spain for a while. That's kind of dumb because I don't really have a connection to it. I don't have a passion to it. So yeah, those are one of my things. And guys, so it probably wouldn't work out. But there's like a house I watched the site and they have like old houses around the state and the area and stuff. And there's this one that came up and I'm like, I really liked it. I thought it was really cool. I was like, if I bought a house like that and it would require some work, and like I do a YouTube channel on it because I've been fascinated by the idea, guys, of buying an old house and fixing it up, which I realize is a money pit. I realize it's stupid, but I really want to do it. I really want to take something like really cool that has unique and interesting features that you don't see in modern homes and bring it back to its former glory because I am a nerd. But again, that comes from like what she has too that I think she's missing is because it's just a desire for fame and money, you don't see where the passion is with her at all. And guys, everything with me kind of falls under those kind of four baskets. And so it's like, yeah, it's like I have a passion for history, but all that history aspect too, like interacts with my faith, it interacts with my education, it interacts with so many things. So it's like, I don't get it, Megan, at all. I don't even know what she's passionate about, to be quite honest, except for designer clothes and jewelry. She should do a show about that. Stephen Magnus says, and thank you so much for the super chat. Megan paid $21,500 in fees for her 4 ARO trademarks. So far, Megan has paid $36,000 in fees for 7 times as ever trademarks and $89,000 for 23 other trademarks. That is insane. That is insane. And like none of them are being used effectively. That's just madness. Like she tried to trademark archetypes and couldn't do it. Like she's tried to trademark so much, but her names aren't unique. Like I don't understand. I don't understand, guys. Like this is something that could so be addressed. Oh my gosh. It's just insane, everyone. It's just it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind so much. Like this should be easily addressable. Easily addressable. And she's just like wasting money. She's just wasting money. Sir Squirrel a lot says, thinking about Harry and Prince Andrew, is it the curse of the spare? They both seem consumed by their own arrogance. A little bit of that for sure. A little bit of that for sure. We got, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but you are from Kazakhstan. So that's so cool. So we have Kazakhstan, Cameroon. What was the other one? That's sort of unique. Oh, Papua New Guinea. I love geography too. There's actually a little quiz, I had a professor way back in the day, and you could take to learn like the capitals and the country names or whatever, and I would take it for fun. I'm a nerd. Phoebe Purvis says, "Good afternoon from UK. Will you be doing a meetup when you visit?" I might. I haven't decided for sure yet because I haven't totally finalized all my plans yet. Ramnaness says her law firm Reed Smith is one of the best available. The problem is with Megan. It must be with Megan because like they have to have told her that. They've had to have told her, oh, we couldn't do this, we couldn't do that, and then she's like, but I want to do this. It's like it'll be fine. I'm Megan. Oh gosh. VM Murphy says she's just Megan this week. Yeah, exactly. Like, which identity are you wanting, Megan? GP says Tara Ellis, the only money they made was stolen from donations. Archwell is a scam. It's not totally. I think honestly, guys, they don't actually open it up for donations. I think they donate to themselves. And it's a way to get the tax write-off so they don't have to pay as much in taxes. I think they are donating to themselves. That's why it's so piddly. Pastry Diary says, heard the name Confessions of a Female Founder for YouTube is actually a young 20-something business founder who shares her experiences. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes because that could go really bad. Myra says, I think the time the YouTubers exposing Megan's lies need to invite annual minority women business owners to their show to talk about why we can't stand her. We need to speak up so she can hear it. Yeah. Although unfortunately, I just don't think she wants to hear any negativity. Like we've been told this. Like the Telegraph recently said she hasn't looked at any of the negative reviews. And somebody else said that when it came to working with them, she didn't ever want to hear anything negative. And it's like, you can't get better if you can't hear the negativity. You have to hear it to learn from it. And yes, it's going to hurt. It will hurt, but you might get better. Editing sucks. Having somebody edit your work and like you see red all over it, it sucks. Because I've been there and then you get frustrated and you're like, oh, I wish I was better. But then you work harder and you do get better. Alienated says, Brittany, do you think her podcast was filmed before or after she filed the trademarks for Confessions of a Female Founder? That I don't know. The Canadian Beaver says it might be because the USA doesn't recognize royal titles. They are a republic. That's true. That's true. Fine Weather says she seems like a very fearful person, nervous, awkward, lack of eye contact, seeking approval and validation for everything. Yeah, she's a very insecure person. Really, at the heart of it, she's very insecure. Linda says Catherine Middleton is a very secure, as William's wife, and very proud of her Middleton family. She isn't concerned. Meaning Meghan has nothing to hang on to. She's not proud of either of her families. Yeah, that's very true. Alien says, do you think her podcast was filmed? Oh, yeah, we answered that. Faith says, you have to be born royal bloodline to be called Mountbatten Windsor. Yeah. And that's my thought too. Penn NP says, when did the royal family's main business direction contain being PR media houses? Yeah. So if this is regarding sort of like the brand talk or whatever earlier, so this is what I would always say is that you need to be really business savvy in this modern age, and this includes royal families. And so, yes, you are not technically running a business, but you have to see it sort of as a business. So if you have a brand competing for your piece of the market, then you need to stomp out the competition. That is how the real business world works. And yes, it's harsh, but that's how it has to be done. That's how it has to be done. So they really need to be better at that. So Leandra says the last person on the planet I would listen to for advice would be Meghan. Her marriage is a scam and she is devoid of emotion, style, and personality. Yeah, she's the last person I would take advice from, honestly. Ms. Marble says if Meghan and Harry's Duke and Duchess titles were taken, she could call herself Princess Henry. Yeah, she could. Yeah, she could. Wendy, I'm proud of my birth family as well as my married family name. Can't understand why she's not willing to be tied to anyone she thinks does not earn her a buck. Yeah, I do think she's trying to change the negative conversation, but it's not going to work. Meep says, does the name Archie have any royal story? As far as I'm aware, no. She could have chosen a regal name, but no, she went with Archie from like Archie Comics. That's the only thing I can think of. And I love Archie Comics, guys. I have a lot of them. Because I was a nerd and I like them. But yeah, and I know exactly which one is my first one too. Maggie says, good morning from windy but sunny Wisconsin. I hope everyone is safe and doing well. Thanks, Brittany, for all your hard work. You are welcome. You're welcome. Paul says Meghan is planning to have a further go at the royal family in her Lemonada podcast. Meghan had to go to the royal family in Spotify with Serena Williams. I mean, it might be. We got Christina Haglund. Hello from Stockholm, Sweden. I do love Sweden too. Oh, I do love the Scandinavian countries. They are lovely. Donna Nurl says, I would go to Scotland, Ireland, started my change jar. That is awesome. Yeah, I may have to do because I don't think the trips to Ireland are too bad, and I haven't been there yet. That would actually be, except for Iceland, Ireland would be the furthest Western European country I have not been to yet, because I've been to most of what I would call the Western half of Europe. I need to go to Norway, though. I haven't been to Norway. Kathy says, Youngblood says she can't choose one. She has multiple personalities. She makes it up as she goes along. Yes, she does. Creative Chaosify says, apparently she wants to sign everything Meghan Sussex, Duchess of Sussex, and sounds inane. Yeah, it does. It doesn't work. She has to choose one. Alex G says, Brittany, I encourage you not to listen to her podcast. I probably won't. I don't think I'll get anything from it. I just don't have any desire. I don't even think a lot of people do either. I think that's like one of where everybody's like, no. Olga says in the podcast announcement, Lemonada call. Oh yeah, Duchess of Sussex, not the Duchess. Yeah. I think Tina Brown said it perfectly. Carol said, Meghan has the worst judgment ever. She really does. She honestly does have the worst judgment ever. When she can choose option A, somehow she always chooses option D. She doesn't even choose the good B option. She chooses D. I guess you could say F. I don't know. So Rich says the Met Gala is coming up soon. Let's see if she attends 2+1. Yeah, that would be interesting just because I just don't think people are super enthused in Hollywood about being closely associated with her, because Jessica Alba definitely did not want you to know Meghan Markle was there at that party. Like, she made a lot of effort to definitely not show Meghan in the slightest at that party because she doesn't want to be associated with Meghan. Katie says, has Meghan announced her guests? No. So like if Jessica Alba is in there, would that be a huge surprise? Maybe not. But also, if you're so embarrassed to show Meghan on your Instagram stories, why would you go on her podcast? Just saying. But I just don't I think a lot of Hollywood and it could be that Megan's like, "Oh, no, don't tell me I'm on there," but then also announced it somehow via the media. Anyways. Brenda says, "Good morning, Brittany and friends. I think Meghan should keep her legal name of Rachel Meghan Markle and at times be addressed if anyone thinks it's appropriate as Princess Henry." I mean, you could I almost said, "Sure, at this point, just drop it." Elizabeth says, "Samantha made me laugh when she said Meghan accused her in her lawsuit of changing her name back to Markle just because Meghan, now she's gonna change it to Sussex." So true. So true. Melinda says, "I love your fashion channel." Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Yeah, I did also do and I did actually do a whole email with kind of the best and worst and had polls on there, but it was too long. So I'm kind of wondering, I don't know if I want to do it daily because that might be too much, but like every couple of days or something because I don't want to annoy people. But I think it would be fun to like vote on your favorite looks and do a little bit of a catch up of what everybody's done. It actually helps me too. So we'll see. I was doing it on Substack, by the way. I need to go back on Instagram, but for some reason, because it's like you have to do everything in Instagram, like in the Instagram app, it just sort of annoys me. It feels like it's very time consuming. And I kind of sort of hate that. Jackie Quarterman says, "I totally agree. Megan's flirts from project to project without a plan, focus, or follow through. It's almost as if her thought processes are scrambled and messed up before they even begin." Exactly. Oh, lots of love for Miss Pippa. Lots of love. Thank you, guys. She is the cutest little, like Creative Chaosify says, what a precious little bean. She is precious. She is precious. Miss Marble says the only way to stop all of this is for everyone to stop talking about her. However, I can't see that happening as you're all talking about her. Well, it's not. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird thing now because I think there is such a thing as like a negative issue. And people just, when you've kind of reached the stage where you're kind of the person everybody agrees they don't like, it's kind of like one of the universal agreements, I think, on even across political aisles, we can all agree is that nobody likes Meghan Markle. So it's like it's a uniting factor, which is really weird. That's not what you want to be uniting for. Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, hold on. Hold on. If I can do this without disturbing her, that'll be amazing. But she has her head literally buried in the blanket. Like her nose is like buried in the blanket. Okay, I took the picture. I can see her little eyebrows moving so she knows. I'm sure that I'm talking about her. Yeah, she has her little nose buried in the blankie. Sorry. It's just very I guess I can probably show you on my phone. Let's see. So, oops. There we go. There she is. There she is. She's got her little nose buried in the blankie. You know, that's not the perfect, but it's very cute. She's like, "My nose is cold." Horror Beauty FX says, "Miss Pippa looks so pretty. Please give her an extra snuggle for me. Miss my pup. She's been gone a year now." Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Oh, fabulous. Newt says, "Cutie dog. I'm picking up my rescue pup on Monday. Ex-breeder, stuck in a box. All of her 5 years. She's going to have such a beautiful life with me." Yes, she will. Oh. Azima says, "Is Megan's show still in the top 10?" It is not. It is not. So it's definitely dropped out. And again, guys, I think the actual a lot of the watch time came from watching the Mindy Kaling episode and the bust up there. I think people were going to try to see if it was as bad as people were saying. That drove a lot of the views. And that's unfortunate for Megan. John Pritchard says Megan has no credibility. She really doesn't. She doesn't. I don't think of her as an expert on anything, to be honest. She's yet to prove. And somebody actually made an interesting, I don't know which phone it's on, but somebody actually made sort of an interesting thing that it was like a video of sort of what you needed to be like, you could say somebody like an influencer type person. It's like you need to be an expert. Oh, here it is. You need to either be a salesman, an expert, or have a unique perspective. And Megan just doesn't really have any of that. She's not an expert. She's not a salesman, really, because she couldn't even sell her stuff because she didn't have it done yet. But she's also not really showing a unique perspective because my channel is sort of a mix between expert and perspective. That's sort of where this channel lies, is kind of within both of those. So like Yeah, because like when it comes to, let's say if you wanted to enter this, like especially the fashion space, which is heavily saturated, you just do need to have a different perspective, just because you will get crushed if you're doing the same thing 100 other people are doing. It's sort of interesting. I did this YouTube boot camp for a period of time, and I saw a little bit of a couple of the people, and I think I've mentioned this before, and I think actually I've come across her videos since then, and her thumbnail was good, but the video quality itself still wasn't great, but she still is getting like 0 views. And it's like she's, I think, been trying a makeup channel for 10 years or something. I remember it was like a ridiculous long amount of time. And she hadn't, I don't even think got monetized yet. And it's like, if I did a YouTube boot camp, I would 100% say like the number one thing is if you're not getting views after a certain point, just drop it. It's not worth it. You need to either reorient yourself and try a different niche, like that might work, or like you're not enough of an expert that people want to watch you, or you don't have enough of a unique interest or perspective or hook. And Meghan's kind of in there. She just doesn't have an interesting hook. The only reason people are watching her is because she's Meghan Markle married to Prince Harry, not because of Meghan Markle. And that again is a huge problem, because if she's constantly resting on that, at some point people will go, I'm not buying it X just because you're Meghan Markle. Like, you have to give me a better reason. And I think that's what she's going to run into at some point, or is starting to already. Marjorie says, I listened to some of the podcasts where chefs who commented on her lack of kitchen and cooking skills had received threats from the Sussex Squad. How awful, unless Meghan comes out and calls them out. Yeah. The one of the guys was like, he was asked to go on her show and he's like, no. But he got death threats now because he said no, and the show looked awful and her cooking didn't look all that great. It's like, you should be able to have an opinion about Meghan without people coming out and like stalking you and doing all these crazy things. Like, her fans are crazy. And I don't think that makes her look good at all. Kimberly says, when Harry and Meghan and Harry divorce, who knows, one day Meghan is going to have a hard time remarrying because everyone knows her nasty style. She's too, everybody knows her too much well now. Rich says, I'm curious to see what victims she drags in the Limonada thing. Who in the right minds would have had any actual type of conversation with her? And I mean, honestly, I don't even know what conversation they would have. Faith Goodman says, what do overseas press and TV channels say about the ex-royals, the ones that aren't Great Britain? There's, at least in the US, there's a lot of turning sentiment. Yeah. So there's a lot of turning to the negative realm. Fern says, what about the YouTube channel, The Crown Report by Royal News Network with your logo? I assume that's not you, has your logo. It is me. If it's the one with like the light green background, that is, or light like teal background, that is technically me. So I decided for bits of The Crown Report, I would edit out the smaller sections and put them on a separate channel, because sort of what happens is, it's sort of an algorithm thing. Like, some of those videos have done well, but other ones have done really poorly on the main channel. And I figure that like if there's a separate channel, those can kind of live there. It's like a way to cultivate maybe somewhat of a different audience and those sorts of things. So there is like, if the thumbnails have mostly more of a burgundy background, then yeah, those are actually part of Royal News Network. So I should find it here real quick in case you're curious, because it is there. So yeah, I don't have, I need to focus more on getting it sort of up to where it needs to be. But if it's this channel, this is me. So yeah, we've had a couple that have done pretty well. Oh, that's done better than I thought it did. So only 925 subscribers, which is totally fine. So I'm just kind of testing it out, seeing how it works and everything. So yeah. It's doing fairly well. And I'm not trying to actually promote it too much. I kind of want it just to stand on its own in some ways, if that makes sense. So I'm just curious to see where it's going. Tamara says, I honestly think the Mexican YouTubers are making more money from Meghan than Meghan is. I would actually agree with that. I think honestly, the only people making a whole bunch of money from Harry and Meghan are the news media and YouTubers. Other than that, I don't think Harry and Meghan are making as much money as everybody else is, or especially the companies they've tied themselves to. So let's see. Christina says, there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. It helps one improve if they are willing. Exactly. Constructive criticism is good. It's definitely good. Luan says, very politely, I'm telling you that you're totally wrong about Catherine's legal name. She gave up her legal maiden name when she married. She did not. She did not. Again, it's a royal thing. It's a royal thing. It's weird to us, but it's a royal thing. On the legal papers in 2012, she was still Catherine Elizabeth Middleton. Let's even pull it up here real quick. So, okay. And I'm going to have to go to, sorry, I'm going to have to go to Safari here because it won't work on Chrome. So, always good to look at things here. And just, this was in, I think it even maybe has a date here. I'm not sure. But anyways, so, oops, nope. So there's a legal document, Monsieur William Arthur Philip Louis Mountbatten Windsor and Madame Catherine Elizabeth Middleton. This was in 2012. So she did not give up her name when she married William. Not totally how it works. So there you go. And he didn't even have Prince there. Quite surprising. So anyways, yeah, this was after the topless pictures. In case you're wondering, because I remember at the time going, well, that's super weird. And they said, well, she actually doesn't get the name because she's not a blood royal. Rusty the Orange Tabby says, will she ever be truly exposed? Maybe with a secret video. I would actually, I think at some point, somebody will leak a video of her being nasty to an employee. I think that'll happen at some point. MTE says, yes, please say hello first. When live stream started on my end, you were in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Let's see. Stephanie says, you can solve the problem of it starting with us with the mid-sentence by speaking with a countdown. Yeah, I tried to do a countdown and just didn't seem to work. It was kind of weird. Kim C says, I would love to have your critique regard to business. Meg also watches and loves it, but does not use it wisely. I think she thinks it's the jokes and doubles down. Yeah, I think she does. There's actually some, like, I'm not a flawless business person. Like some of the number stuff, like it's just beyond me. But like when it comes to like ideas and being creative and on that side, I think I'm pretty good. Alien D says, Brittany, do you think her podcast was filmed before or after the trademarks? That I don't know. Okay. Oh, Caroline says, haircut has made Pippa look like a puppy again. Yeah, she's my sweet little pup. So she's so cute. So tiny. Caroline says, has there not been a single day so far this year that Meghan hasn't shut up? I can't think of one. Every day it's something. Yeah, and that's, again, oversaturation. She's overdoing it. So Loretta says, Taz mentioned how clean her chicken coop was. I wonder if she has both ADD and OCD. Maybe, but again, she can pay other people to do that for her. So she doesn't have to do that. So, but I mean, she also has something like she has some sort of chicken picnic table that she made some sort of weird pun out of. Like, I think she genuinely thinks she's being clever. It's like, you're really not being that clever. It's kind of dumb. Missy Lulu says, Bethany Frankel, when she shows her viewers, her staff, her housekeepers, she doesn't lie and act like she's doing everything herself. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. If you're wealthy and you have money to have somebody else do something, hey, like, no issues there whatsoever. I just think it's totally disingenuous for Meghan to just sit there and act like she doesn't have anybody to do like everything around the house for her. And so it's like when she's doing a party, yeah, she can focus on the most innocuous things because she has somebody else doing something. If I held a party, I'd be working about making sure I get my place clean, that I have enough food, that I have it laid out, that I have everything on timers correctly, and that everything is going well, and that the dog is taken care of, and like so many different things. And yeah. Yeah, Carol said, I think one of Brittany's videos calculated that Harry and Meghan had left around $96 million on the table. Yeah, I think so. Like I did a whole breakdown and I can't remember quite what it was, but yeah, they've left a lot of money on the table. Because I would imagine out of Spotify, they only got the most, like 5 million, maybe 8, maybe out of the 20 million they were supposed to get. Netflix, I mean, I don't even think they would have gotten half yet at this point. And now I think some of the money that they would have gotten for production deals and success and benchmarkers and bonuses and everything is now tied up in her brand. So if her brand fails, they definitely won't get anything. So, and guys, big name brands do fail. Even with celebrities attached. I think JLo's beauty brand has failed. There's the Blake Lively Preserve, which I'm actually kind of annoyed about because I would like that name because it goes with like my history theme and my like desire to preserve old homes. It's like preserve would be awesome. And then she took it and I looked and somebody else already had it. So I was like, well, I got to think of something else. That's the thing. There's nothing wrong with thinking of something as like saying, oh, somebody has it. Oh, that's a bummer. But let me go back to the drawing board and think of something better. Because again, it sort of goes back to that editing thing, is that editing thing, it might spark something different. And it might go, ooh, that's a better idea. That's a better idea because you're getting challenged. I feel like Meghan does not get challenged at all. And so because she doesn't, everything is mediocre because she's not being challenged. You have to be challenged. I think that's a good thing. It helps you grow. And not in like a negative way. It's just something going, well, that's already been done before. I was like, okay. So on to the next thing. What's the other idea I've had that might be more successful? So, yeah. Catherine says, hi from Florida. Meghan wants to be anyone else but herself. She wants everyone to believe she's royal and everyone else is a commoner. Very true. Diane says, every time she opens her mouth, I hear another lie come out. I didn't know she was a nanny in college, etc. I can't believe anything she's saying. Enough is enough. Yeah. And she's almost too specific. She had to say they were specifically what, Irish Catholic families or something. And I'm like, that's a totally unnecessary detail. Nobody, like, who gives a crap about who they were? Like, we don't even know who they are. And so it's like, it was like such a weird detail, almost like it is sort of a lie, because you're adding in an unnecessary detail in this story that totally, like, you could tell she practiced it and was like prepared for it. And so you're like, okay, I don't believe actually that anecdote. I believe that less than anything else now because the anecdote makes no sense. So Gretchen the First says a lot of commentary in the past has suggested Meghan did things to affect the algorithms. Given this business mess, I think we might have to be giving her too much credit. Yeah, I don't think she's doing it to do the algorithms totally. Lady Aviator says, Arnend, enjoy my Saturday morning lives with you. Helps keep some stability and sameness for me. Been going through a lot of changes recently. Well, Lady Aviator, I hope you are doing okay. And I'm glad these live streams can be some of a little bit of a consistent little piece here for you. Sorry, just had to see where Miss Pippa moved because I heard the huff of her. Seabass says, I'm happy for you, Brittany. It's nice to be secure in your business to pay for help. Yeah. Especially when you need some sometimes. It's not like I would prefer it, but honestly, sometimes you have to let things go because you can't do everything. Like the week before, like the accounting people said they needed everything in by March 3rd, and Meghan's show launched March 4th. So what was I doing that whole weekend? Doing all my expenses and taxes when I could have been working and giving it to somebody else. I don't think there's any problem with doing it because sometimes you just need to let things go. Gretchen the First says, Brittany, getting an accountant, if you hate all that, is smart business. Part of success is knowing when to trade money for what you don't want to do so you have more time to do what you're good at. Exactly. That was the weekend lesson. I could have been doing more videos, but I was like, I really got to get all these expenses done. So I need to do this now. Otherwise, I'm going to have issues later. So I was like, okay, we did it. Got it all done. KG says, am I the only one on Andrew's side? Despite his past, that's his home and his kid's home. And Her Majesty the Queen would never have done that to her favorite son. I mean, I get that. But at the same time, too, it comes from kind of a acknowledging that you're not where you're at anymore. It's a big house and it requires a lot of upkeep. That's the thing. It's like part of the reason he was going to maybe get kicked out is because he couldn't keep up with the upkeep because it's too big a house for him. And that's part of getting older, is recognizing that, hey, I need to downsize. I don't need this huge house anymore. It's too much for me to clean, too much for me to keep track of. And I think Andrew is more squatting on the, what is it? Royal Lodge, not because it's like so necessary, but because he's being stubborn. And that's sort of how he's making that decision. And I think that's sort of a good thing. That's sort of kind of damaging him, I think, in some ways. It's like it's just pride keeping him there. Now, the reality is that there's nothing wrong with Frogmore Cottage. It actually probably makes more sense to move there because it's a bit smaller. And yeah, it's maybe not your quote unquote kid's home anymore, but it shouldn't be their home either. Like, part of growing up is knowing that your parents might move. So that's kind of what I think. Santa Baby says, you say that Catherine is on the same level as Meghan when it comes to their surnames, except they're not. Middletons are a lovely, respectful family, and the Markles are a mess. She also outranks Meghan. I say that because they are the same in terms of that's how the royal family has treated both of them. And again, some people, and it's like an example a bit there as well, that, Catherine and the Middletons are better. It's like, I mean, they are in many ways, but in terms of how they are treated by the royal family, they are both married women who married into the royal family. They should or go largely be treated the same in many ways. Like I mentioned Catherine as the same because it's important again, because people use Catherine and stuff to bash Meghan. And I mean, I've done it a little bit too, but it's like sort of good to tell when they're sort of even in this instance. And that is actually the case here. Gorilla BFF says Meghan takes herself and everything she does terribly seriously, and her kids and Harry, because narcissist that she is, those are closest are an extension. Yes, she takes things way too seriously. I honestly think she's like, oh, we're gonna have fun. It's like I've never honestly seen Meghan really have fun. She doesn't strike me as somebody who's fun to be around or knows how to have a lot of fun. She just doesn't strike me as that. Rachel Gedney says Meghan Markle will never be allowed into the royal family. Unlikely UK. Harry will find his way back. Will absolutely be post-divorce. That will be a condition. He will be packed off to Africa. Yeah, I don't think he'll be packed off to Africa, but will he be told, "Hey, you can't come back with her"? Yes. And that's because she has violated confidences. She has damaged the relationships. And like, would Harry have done all this without her egging him on? No, I don't think so. Gretchen the First says her website is a disaster. Archie could have made a better Shopify store. Yeah, especially if the products go live and she still hasn't changed that. Yeah, that's a good thing. EMP 2022 says poor Miss Naked Pippa. It's a cost of beauty. Yes, she's a little naked. But it's gonna get hot here soon. So I was kind of thinking it was gonna be warmer, and then it didn't really. I was like looking at the weather forecast and going, it's not really warming up like I thought it would. So poor little girl is gonna be a little chilly there. But she'll appreciate it once it becomes pretty hot. Princess Goose says, even more importantly, be careful who you have children with. I'm sure that if they are living a health, I'm unsure if they are living a healthy life. Very true. Very true. Like, be careful who you marry, be careful who you have children with, because that has a long-term implication. And I think that's so important for people to recognize. And Harry and Meghan, I think, are a great example of, who not to marry. Maggie says, when it comes to the children, laws favor the mother, but money and power trump many laws. Try going against the King of England, the President of the United States. Harry has 3 years. But like, yeah, but probably not. So, Josie says, Meghan reminds me of Kim Zolkak. She disconnected Tory Brimerman's family and friends and her own family, and she blew and gambled his money, and now they're in a nasty divorce. Very true. Very true. Gorilla BFF says he was totally crappy, but I grew up with a narcissist and he was sold a bill of goods. I do have some sympathy for them. He has been super sheltered, no idea how to deal with such toxicity. Yes, and he threw away the help that was offered. His family, his friends all tried to tell him many times that Meghan was not a great addition. And so they tried to warn him off, and he ignored their help. And their help came from a good place, but he ignored it to his own detriment. Linda Cato says, wonder when Harry will no longer be useful for Meghan, so she'll dump him. She needs to find a billionaire to marry. Exactly. And I don't know why she married him. It still boggles the mind. Because yes, she got infinitely famous, but she had to know sort of before she was marrying him that he wasn't that wealthy or was wealthy as she thought he was. That being a royal would not be all that much fun the way she thought it would be. So I'm like, what? Mad ID says, Brittany, do you think King Charles will help Harry if he decides to divorce Duchess Difficult? He shouldn't, because like Harry's a grown adult now. Like he's supposedly made all his money selling his soul for money, selling his family for money. So he should be able to do it himself. Shaz says, oops, forgot we were going an hour early today. Hi, all. Hope everyone is having a wonderful Saturday. Yeah, unfortunately for the time change, it's like it lasts for the rest of this month. And so it was right before I was supposed to go on with Dan on Monday. And I was freaking out because I was like, okay, 4 hours ahead. What does that mean? Does that mean we're going on it earlier or later? And then I finally figured out it was later. I was like, oh, that's fine. I was like, that's nice. Elle says, do you think the Middletons will have more official role when William is king? Probably not. Probably not. So we'll see. Gorilla BFS says, Brittany, I've worked hard and I know it. Been here since your channel started. Yoy, you worked hard and you earned your successful channel. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Yeah, you had there's a hustle here, 100%. And yeah, luck has something to do with it, of course, but that's not all it is either. Missy Lulu says, like Bethany Frankel, she started going to grocery stores, doing tabletop events by herself to promote her cupcakes. Yeah. Yeah. You have to hit the ground and stuff. And actually, one of the things that's sort of interesting on Shark Tank is they talked about how sometimes they wouldn't fund people because it's they have a huge fail safe and their parents or their spouse or something. And so they're working hard, but not as hard as they could be working. They don't have their pedal to the metal going, if I don't do X, everything will fail. And I think there's actually a pretty big wisdom in actually doing that, going, if I don't do X, something's going to fail. And I think there's that does encourage you to keep going and encourages you even when you're tired. I gotta do X. If I don't do X, I don't eat. And that's a really big encouragement. Creative Chaosify says, Wittard's Earl Grey is one of my favorites. Wittard's has great stuff. Princess Goose says the actor had to audition for the role and most probably he had to have acting lessons and working on his craft. If he's that hot, he has to work on his body to keep it attractive. Very true. Very true. Coco's mom says it seems like her dad planted that seed long ago with her dish soap debacle, that she was actually thinks she's alone changed the commercial. He played it up. Now she believes the lie, thinking no work is okay. Yeah, which is really guys, when you think about it, it's one of those things where it's it's so obvious how much of a dumb for her to believe that is insanity. So it's not really good. Santa Baby says gelato is Italian, not Spanish. Yes, I know, but I ate a lot of gelato in Spain. So it's my inspiration for making gelato would be because I had a lot of it when I was in Spain. So it's one of those things where it's just kind of there and there. So in just in case, because I was talking earlier, guys, about how Megan's inspiration for a crepe mix is that she was a study abroad student in Spain. It's or in Paris. I was I was a study abroad student in Spain and I ate a lot of gelato. So ergo, I should have a gelato business now. Princess Goose says, whoever told you that your channel was just luck was just jealous of your success. We see how hard you work every day, put out so many quality videos, and then have live chats. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Yeah, it was kind of weird because I'm yeah, some of it is luck, but I'm a lot of it's not. But if it was just luck, then I'm working way too hard. Wendy Lindy says, hello from South Africa. Love your show always. Why, thank you. A Bertasso, so sorry so late again. Happy to catch you live, Brittany. Your balance, professionalism, and fun. And as people say, it actually takes a lot of work to make something look effortless. That is true. That is true. Marjorie says, when you get to London, do try to book a visit to Dean's Sever's house. He restored it how it was in the 17th century. That is very cool. That's very cool. I have to remember it. Dean's Sever's house. Mother Duck says, I think Megan is going to use her new podcast to try to get chummy with successful business people so they will help her. Yeah. But successful business people, you can take inspiration, but you have to be the driver. And I think she'd want somebody else to do the hard work. And that's a challenge. Sorosi says, I feel like someone told her to lean into the hate. She knows she can never rehab her image, so why not rage bait? They laughed and said, now let them eat cake. Yeah, there's definitely a possibility of that. But I think the challenge is that you can rage bait too much to the point where people then actually really start to not like you. And that's the danger. Brittany, Caroline Lane says, Brittany, do you think the RF have to rethink how the spares are treated? It can't be nice growing up that you're second best. Andrew and Harry haven't made good choices. It's got to affect them. Yes. And this has happened in other royal families, not just the British royals. So it's one of those things where it's you have to it's hard. I don't fault any royal family for struggling with this, because you have to figure out in this instance how to make sure all your kids know that they are equals in your love, equals in their values as human beings, but yet also knowing that you have one that has a very, very special role. Now, I think it does help to have two spares. So in the case of Catherine and William, I think it's great that they have three. I think it's much harder with two. The weird thing about Andrew is that there were technically four kids, but Andrew sort of got, I think, an inflated ego because he was sort of a war hero and everything, and he was the hot one for a while. And I think he got an inflated ego from that, which doesn't really help matters. And I think Harry suffered from the same thing. I think he got a bit of an inflated ego. And, he was more popular than the queen at one point and those sorts of things. And I think that played into it as well. Isaac Texas says, Brittany, why do you think nobody addresses Doria's disappearance for years? Do you think the queen knew the answer? I don't really know if the queen knew. I don't know if she really cared, but I think the answer is that Tom Bauer talked about it and it made sense that she wanted to explore some sort of business thing. So she dropped Meghan off with her dad and left. And so I think that sort of abandonment has huge implications and impacts on Meghan even now, because that can't be something that you're like, yay. So Abertassa says, I love your channels as I'm a nerd too. I enjoyed some of the nerdy things, royal history, fashion, and travel. I couldn't believe it when I found you over a year ago. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you have people enjoy the same things. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's just like, when you just have a passion about something, it comes out. It's hard not to. It's just so hard not to have it come out. And I just don't even know what Meghan's passion is. She says it's cooking, but she says, I hate baking. And she didn't look like she was all that impressive as a cook. So I'm like, do you really like cooking? I don't know. And so we have Carol says, Meghan is fighting with Lemonada to be marketed as Meghan Sussex. Duchess of Sussex. Lemonada wants her to market her as Meghan Markle. Yeah. Well, they just stuck with Meghan. That's what it's been done before. I just don't even think Meghan Sussex makes a bunch of sense. It's just, again, she has not done it well. And she has to stick to one name. You can't be Meghan Sussex, Duchess of Sussex. That's stupid. You just need to be Meghan Sussex or the Duchess of Sussex. You can't have both. You can only have one. So it's like her, again, they're constantly straddling 12 worlds. And it's like, well, no wonder you're failing. You're not sticking to a consistent vision. You have to have a vision for something. It can't just be, I want to make money. Caroline Lane says, maybe Harry is some type of nickname. We have a messaging app at work. I got lazy typing my whole name and just went to write thanks. See, it's stuck. I get called at C at work now. I think that's true. But for me, for some reason, I just really feel like calling him just H is a way to sort of demean him and put him on her level. And it's not that she's really trying to I think Meghan's thing is she always struggles with the fact that she's not royal, really. She's married to a royal, but not really royalty. Her husband is royal. Her children are royal. She is not. And I think she does whatever she can to kind of even the playing field because she's frustrated that she's really weirdly not as important as some of the others, if that makes sense. Dale Powell says, hi, I love you on Dan's show. Do you consider collabs with other content creators? Really love how you stay away from the surrogacy rumors. Yeah, so that's one of the things one of the reasons why I kind of stayed away sometimes, not totally doing things with other creators, just because I don't really like the surrogacy rumors. I just don't like them. I don't want to be too closely associated with them. I just don't think it's all that helpful. And if other people love it, that's fine. That's what you want to do. But that's not totally my thing. So I haven't really done a bunch, but I always consider it, but I haven't done a lot either. I've been asked before and then haven't really had the chance, or I get distracted and forget. I'm also kind of bad at that. So we have Stephen Magnus. Thank you so much again for the super chat. Duchess of Sussex Thoroughbred LLC, Meghan in 2018. Oh, that she called herself a thoroughbred says so much. Oh man. Yeah. So bad. So bad. Cece says her new tagline, come and have fun with Mrs. Sussex spread and lemon on a flounder. Flounder. Yeah. It's not great. It's not a great name. Oh my goodness. It's even just that little bit, guys. Confessions of a Historian. There were a million different answers. So why? Josie says Emma the Marchioness of Bath yesterday had an Instagram story showing her making apple juice gummy candy for her kids, and she gave the recipe. Yeah, but Meghan, you have to pay for it. At some point, you're gonna have to pay for the Meghan recipes. But I mean, to a certain extent, to give her the benefit of the doubt, that's sort of how everybody's going, is sort of a subscription-based route kind of thing. Because the internet is so ubiquitous, you do have to find a way to sort of start to try to make money off some things. And just having a website and having ads on there is just not working the same as it used to. And so it's just kind of complicated. It's weirdly complicated. So Diana says, "Good afternoon from rainy Hungary." Yes, that is so cool. I always like seeing where people are from. It's always fun. Twisted Metal says, "Do you think they'll be forced to take the kids to Great Britain when it's time for King Charles' funeral? All of the Queen Elizabeth II's grandchildren were gathered for her funeral and would look bad if they weren't there." Uh, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I hope so, but it's just yeah. A Gorilla BFF said, "Yeah, I didn't understand the Irish Catholic family reference. Didn't get the point if unless she imagined it elevating her somehow, which is she is always after." Yeah, it's just it doesn't make a ton of sense. Grace also said Irish Catholic families in Chicago have huge families and they never let outsiders babysit their kids. That's why you know it's a lie. It's very interesting. I didn't know that, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's just this added detail that's just so unnecessary that it sounds rehearsed and it sounds made up because you're adding in like guys, I babysat for a family and they had one baby when I was in college. I don't remember their names. I remember they lived in a nice area. They had a nice house. I house sat for them once. And that's essentially all I remember. I could not tell you their faith. I could not tell you anything. She had brown hair. I remember one time I missed a text message that they were sick and I came over to babysit and I had my sister with me, but then we had to go back to the dorms because they couldn't babysit. So that's what I remember, guys. That's all I remember. I don't remember that they were particularly Irish Catholic fan. That's just a crazy unnecessary detail to recall. Sula says, being Irish Catholic, no Irish father would give his own daughter that advice. Never mind another man's daughter. Total BS. Yeah, it did make a ton of sense. Princess Goose says, when I hear she's having deep conversations with the children's father, it makes me wonder if she was having affairs with the fathers. Yeah, honestly, that kind of was around too. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Carol says that Frogmore Cottage 6-bedroom cottage that was recently renovated. Yeah, it's like there's nothing wrong with that cottage. And it's like I think it's totally fine for Andrew to move there. It's like smaller place. It's not like super exciting, but it's I feel like it's just pride keeping him at Royal Lodge, and that's just not good. And it's just easier to kind of downsize. But he's just pride and arrogance at this point that's keeping him there. So that's not great. Ari Bertosa says Andrew and Sarah might end up as a variation of Grey Gardens. I love the royal family, but of course, and not Andrew so much. But Frogmore Cottage could be a very healthy step. I think it could actually be good for him in the public image, recognizing that I need to take this step back. Let me downsize and get in a little bit of a smaller place. I think it would actually be good for him. Spoken by Jay says, is it true that people make Meghan's bath salts at home and get injured in some way and can technically sue Meghan? I've heard that it's actually some safe. That's what some people are saying. I don't know. So I can't really tell you. But if that did happen, that would be rather interesting. Spoken by Jay says, if you were able to interview Harry and Meghan, but only had 3 questions to ask, what would you ask? Ooh, interesting question. So I would ask, let's see, what would I ask? I think about that for a minute. So Harry, you said that it was just the media churning up that the comment that was made to Meghan was racist, and you let that sit for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden you take it back. So what was the real case there? Why did it take you a year to walk back that comment? Why not address it immediately when the media, both on the American and on the British side, started running with it? Why didn't you address it then? Why did you wait years to? That'd be probably my first question. Like one of my questions to Meghan would be, so Meghan, I'm sure you were given some sort of etiquette lessons, although she'd probably lie and say she wasn't. It's obvious that Catherine walks behind William, Prince Philip walked behind Queen Elizabeth for 70 years. Why were you unable to walk behind your husband? Why did you insist on barging in front of him all the time when he was working royal, knowing that that is wildly inappropriate for somebody in your position? And then I guess that's probably not a great question, but I mean, it's predicated on them actually answering the questions honestly, because that's a big challenge. Let's see, what would the other question be? Because you want to kind of catch him in an inconsistency. Oh, Meghan. So Meghan, you claimed that you wore beige as a royal because you didn't want to clash with the other women. Yeah, you deliberately clashed on the Commonwealth Day, and now you wear almost exclusively beige. Why is that? Because what you kind of want to do is catch them in the inconsistencies. It's like you've told us X, and then we see Y. So which one is it? That's kind of what I would think. So, anyways, Wildcat Woman says regarding Andrew, I understand that he never kept up with regular maintenance. Only Andrew would turn down a smaller place with updated everything because of his ego. Exactly. Exactly. Princess Goose says, do you watch the show Elevator Entrepreneur show where they have a minute to pitch in an elevator up and they decide if that minute makes them want to pitch? Other than that, same as Shark Tank. I haven't heard of that. To be able to kind of say quickly what your channel is. And I started in the beginning and I said I was going to talk about like history and movies and TV shows and fashion and all those sorts of things. And then I kind of sort of realized that that wouldn't work. That was too broad. And so I kind of had to narrow it to just news and commentary on this channel. And I have a fashion channel. And I came up with like literally my phrase for all those who have a passion for royal fashion. Like I was talking about that one day and that just kind of spilled out. I was like, oh my gosh, that is brilliant. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. We have Joe Anger Bread says, good morning, Brittany and everyone at RNN. Woke up late, just tuned in. Hey, no worries. Gretchen the First says, got some great tea from High Grove, not cheap, but high quality. Currently drinking Prince of Wales. Bought for the name, but it came in a tin and now with my royal books. I'm such a nerd. Ah, I feel you. I feel you. Wildcat Woman says the problem with Meghan is that she still can't grasp that people just don't like her. In her mind, she's the daughter-in-law of the Princess of Wales and should be automatically beloved because of it. Yes, 100% that is the case. Chris Cook says, hello, great show so far. The Crown Report will only let me save, not subscribe. It's listed as a podcast. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's like for the like the kind of the playlist or whatever in on the main channel. But if you go to the separate channel, you can subscribe there too. Only if you want to. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's not a huge deal or anything. Just kind of trying to see how things go. Ruthie says it's been great watching your channel grow. Your hard work is paying off. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I did that because with the Crown Report stuff, because I know the guys that I watch, they have separate channels that just upload the briefs from their live streams, like sections of their live streams. And because I watch their channel, because they're connected, like I see it, even though I am not subscribed to them and I don't know it. And so, but I like the other things, so I'm catching on. So I'm trying to kind of experiment, I guess I should say. Fan says, Brittany, you say Meghan wants to be royal like her husband and children. Wouldn't she be considered royal had she remained a working royal and had been used in the HRH? Yes, but like, again, there's a difference between blood royals and other married in royals. It just is. Gretchen the First says, I think Dan Wooten is a good fit for you because he's a news guy who knows how the RF works and isn't afraid to call out all sides. Yeah, it's a good fit. It's like, you know, you kind of debate. Not that I wouldn't consider chatting in with other people too. Gretchen the First says, Brittany, assuming things stay the same, do you think William will want to allow Prince Harry and Meghan Markle at Charles's funeral or coronation? Would they be his decisions? I think obviously the funeral, yes. The coronation is a question. That's a question. W says, the royals ignore her nonsense. Why keep this con artist in the news? There are better topics in the world because people like to watch the train wreck. This kind of thing. So Shaz says, I still laugh at the story of her babysitting. She was with Trevor for 10 years. Why not tell him about dating? So true. Gretchen the First says, Kinsey Schofield had a good show with a lawyer who said Meghan Markle and Netflix could likely be a liability related to bath salts. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, it would be fascinating to see. Kind of funny. So the Canadian Beaver gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. So I thank you so much, the Canadian Beaver. Hopefully somebody gets it in the chat and it like makes their day. That would be awesome. So Pam says, good morning from Phoenix. Your channel stands out because you are intelligent and knowledgeable. Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Peeper Jean says, I would go full blown petty with questions and ask Harry if he regrets putting his grandparents through so much emotional pain in their final years. Yeah. So I would have to like really, really think about it because it does take a while to like think of the questions. Like you have to, there's some that come to mind immediately, but like I would really want to, what I would want to do if I had a chance to interview Harry and Meghan is I would watch everything they've ever done. And I would have to have an assistant come and help me. I'd have to someday, okay, watch Meghan's interviews before she met Harry. I'll watch those after she met Harry. We'll watch all these interviews. And the thing is to really, and which nobody has been able to do yet, really force their hand on the inconsistencies in their statement. Really, really force their hand going, you said this, then you said this. Which is it? The easiest example, of course, is Meghan with the beige. You said you didn't wear beige you wore beige as a royal because you didn't want to clash. And now you're still wearing beige. So obviously you were trying to make a dig at the royal family. And then that was obviously not true. So which is it? Yeah, very true. Oh, Mark gifted 5 Royal News Network memberships. Why, thank you so much, Mark. That is so kind of you to do, guys. I so have to still work on, I have the jam video, so I'll have to work on, I'll probably make it live for members first. So yeah. Alex G said, I would definitely ask Harry, why do you hate your brother? That's true. I was like, why did you make your brother's life so difficult? Why did you make everybody's life so difficult? So yeah, definitely. Creative Chaosify says, when I clicked on the Crown Report channel link in the description, it gives me a 404 not found message. Okay, I'll have to work on that. I must have gotten the wrong link. So I'll work on that. Figure it out. So guys, we will go ahead. Oh, well, let's see. We'll answer this question, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Wendy says, how do you keep someone from attending the funeral? They could stand outside and watch. Yeah. And I think it would be sort of very rude. It wouldn't be a good look for William to bar his brother from his father's funeral. That just wouldn't be a good look for them. Instead, I think it would be a much smarter look to allow him to be there, do everything you need to do, but then he can, I think, in many ways say, no, I'm not, don't come to my coronation. You don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. And so I think that's probably the best way to go. That would be my suggestion, is like, you've left the royal family, you have no role here. Like, you don't really need to be at the coronation. If you want to come, I can give you a nosebleed seat like you got last time, but you're not going to get like front row center. You're not necessary to this institution anymore. You removed yourself from it, and I am just abiding by your desires. That would be the way William can do it. So guys, let's go ahead though and wrap it up. We've had a good live stream for today. And so yes, if you are in the UK, we are still, we had our daylight savings time. You have not had yet. So we're 4 hours difference right now instead of 5 for the rest of Europe. I'm not quite sure. So that's why I just maybe I'll just put EST, and there's a nice little, app on your phone that can tell you what time zones everybody's in. It's not as complicated as it used to be. So guys, we will go ahead again. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful and amazing Saturday. I'll give Miss Pippa some lovely and amazing kisses as she perks up here and goes, are you done yet, Mom? Are you done? Are you done? So guys, we will talk to you again tomorrow or very soon. I need to do an overexposed video for Meghan because I find that really interesting from PR's perspective. But guys, thank you so much again. Have a wonderful Saturday, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye.